Hello everyone, Max Mick here with another YouTube video, and with this one I'm going to be following up my draft guide for Zendikar Rising Limited. I already made a draft guide. If you haven't watched that, I will put a link up at the top right, I believe. It'll be like a little white banner. You can click that, go watch my previous video. I don't have nearly as good clickbait, which doesn't really matter since you've already clicked on the video usually, but I'm no longer the trophy leader, nor am I anywhere near that since I've played like 100 hours in this format in the first week, but that's just not even close to enough to get trophy leader, and I'm not gonna play more than that. I've just got other things that I want to do, and I just don't love Magic that much, unfortunately. But I'm still holding out around 75% win rate. I've got 3 limited GP top 8s. I don't know. If you click the video, you probably already think I have credibility, so I guess there's not really much point in me trying to convince you. But anyways, I'm going to be explaining to you what I changed about my draft guide and how I've been doing well. I've been on a bit of a roller coaster. At first I thought the format was horrible, and then I learned how to play it, and I was enjoying it, and I shared that with you guys. And then everyone was doing that, and everyone else started learning the format like a couple days after me, and I was like, and then I went back to losing a somewhat more than usual, and my winner tanked. And then I started doing what I've done now, and I've settled into that for like the last couple days. I've just been doing what I've been doing now, and doing pretty well, and I feel pretty good about the format. And I'm still having a good time, but not an amazing time. I'm feeling like I'm getting pretty close to being done with this format. It's the unfortunate thing about drafting 100 hours in like the first week or so. But on the bright side, I can share that with you, share my info with you guys in case you guys still want to draft. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe if you want to see more, and you can comment, especially with feedback. I'm always open to and love to hear feedback so I can improve my future videos. I also stream, and I'm on Twitter. You can check out the links in the description. And finally, there's going to be timestamps towards every major part in the video in case you want to leave and come back or skip to things or whatever the hell you want to do. So with all that being said, let's get right back into it. So I think blue's still the best color by a very, very large margin. As I said in my previous video, it's just not even very close. Blue's just like the best color in the set. All of its cards are great. It's got tons of great synergy. The power level's the highest. It's the best, not necessarily the only, but it's the best way to play control in the format. And usually if you want to win a late game, you're not beating blue. You're just not beating blue in a late game unless you have a lot of bombs or a lot of recursion in black maybe, but it's just not likely to happen. And in addition to that, you can tempo people out pretty easily with cards like Into the Royal and Risen Riptide is getting them, or you can mind control them to death with Low Mage Domination. You can play an early game against aggro decks with Royal Mage, Tazim Royal Mage, and then you can use it later to get back your great instant sorceries. You can play Divinations for 2 mana, you can play 1 mana removal spells. It just has everything you want it to do. I'm not going to go into it too much because I just already talked about it in my first video. But the thing that I started doing with blue that I wasn't doing before is particularly in my actual drafts is if I'm going to go blue, I'm going to force blue like kind of hard. I'm no longer going to like hedge into blue like I was. And I was doing that for a little while and I was losing a lot. And I think the issue for that was even if I thought blue was open, after hedging, the issue is that I passed like 2 to 3 really good blue cards. So in pack 2 and even in pack 3, people aren't going to think blues. People aren't going to pass me good blue cards because they'll have thought it was open because I passed them a late Bubble Snare or late Into the Royal or a late Field Research or stuff like that. So if there's like a really close pick between Malakir Blood Priest, let's say as an example, the 2 mana 2/1 in black that drains for your party size, and Cunning Geyser Mage, this I'm highlighting it now, but Cunning Geyser Mage, it used to be I would just like slap off the Blood Priest because it's like one of the better commons in the set. It's 100% the best black common, and it's definitely the best 2-drop in the set. But now I'm like 100% taking Geyser Mage, especially if Geyser Mage is the only blue card in the pack, because it just people won't think blue's open. And I'm going to guarantee to get a good pack 2, and the way that I found out the blue was open or thought blue was open was if I wheeled cards. So it might even impact your pack 3 because you're not passing good blue cards that will be wheeled. So, and in addition, similarly, if there's a pack with like 2 to 3 good blue cards, I'm much less likely to take a blue card because I still have to pass a bunch. And also, if you pass 3, and you wheel 1, then you'll know that blue is open, right? Whereas if you pass 2 and you don't wheel any, you don't quite know. So it just helps you get that definitive answer as to whether blue is open or not, if that makes any sense. That said, I'm still like always going to take a Bubble Snare or an Into the Royal if I take it. There's not much. These are the cards that have gone up a lot in my card evaluations in terms of like specific cards. I think Bubble Snare and Into the Royal are both very underrated, and they're the best commons in the set. I'm not sure which one's better, but they're 100% the best commons in the set. Into the Royal is great at every point in the game. It does everything you want it to. Like the worst case scenario is pay 4 and it bounce like a 3-drop and draw a card, so you lose 1 mana worth tempo and you cycle, which is really not that bad. And then it can get value in the late game. It can get tempo by bouncing a 5-drop. Or anything higher than that. It can kill tokens. It can bounce your own stuff in response to removal. It can trigger Risen Riptide on turn 4, which is amazing. And same with Bubble Snare for triggering Risen Riptide is very, very relevant. And also it's a 1 mana removal spell. And I have found that you need a couple of removal spells in this format. Originally, I was lower on removal than I am now, but I've found that I do need like 1 or 2 removal spells to make sure I can actually like not get murdered by like a big green creature randomly. One of the other things I've changed about my draft strategy is that I've upped green quite a bit in my format rankings, mostly because just the big creatures just kind of function. I'm not quite sure why, but we can get into that later. I think it's about all I have to talk about blue. I think that the other thing I want to talk about is that spell lands have gone down a lot lower for me. I think all the spell lands in blue are both they're just mediocre spell lands compared to like the ones in the other sets, in the other colors, excuse me. And in addition, that's just not what blue wants. Usually my blue decks always want to hit my land drops, and the upside of spell lands is they both help you not screw and help you not flood at every point in the game. They're like great to draw because you get to pick which one they want to side into. However, in blue, the issue is when I'm flooding, the issue with me flooding in blue isn't that I'm actually flooding, it's that I've drawn awkwardly because I've drawn too many lands. So having a Solemn Vision instead of a land isn't really going to help me because it just doesn't impact the board. It just costs 3 mana and it essentially just cycles. So if I'm getting flooded, I'm still going to win the late game with blue. Blue's issue with flooding isn't that you lose the late game because you drew too many lands, at least not typically. Blue's issue with flooding is that you start like 2 lands in a row after keeping a 4-lander, and then you don't have anything to play on turn 2 or turn 3, and then you just fall behind and you can't quite catch back up. And Solemn Vision is not going to help you with that. Umar Wizard is not going to help you with that. It's just a 5 mana through 4/3. Bane Veil is certainly not going to help you with that. These are all very situational cards that don't help you with Blue's issue with flooding. Jawar Disruption, on the other hand, is a great blue spell land. But I've gone much lower on those 3, and I've started taking cards like Bubble Snare, Into the Royal, even Field Research over the spell lands like pretty actively, and I've been pretty happy with that. I think that's about all I have to talk about with blue. The Royal Mage has also gone, Tazim Royal Mage has gone a significant amount down for me because it's pretty replaceable with the Skyclave Squid, and I found it to be a little expensive to kick now that people are more understanding how to draft the format, and their aggro decks are more refined and consistent, and you can no longer beat them as easily by just jamming your own 2-drops and trading off. But it's still a very solid card. It's better than the Squid by a lot. It's just that you don't need it as much. I'm no longer taking it over like Bubble Snare or Into the Royal or anything like that like I was before. I think that's about all I have to talk about. I've seen people pass Low Mage Domination pretty late. That's my other advice, is just don't pass this card. I don't know. I don't know why people think that it's okay to pass this card. They think it like is going to cost too much mana or something, but it's a mind control, and you can also get it back with Tazim Royal Mage, which is very, very relevant. So yeah, just stop passing this card. I think it's about all I've talked about with blue. And then the other thing that I've changed about my strategy is that, or about my evaluations, is that I think the rest of the colors are a lot closer than I did before. For example, I rated the cards. I had blue ahead by a lot. Then I had red and black, a decent amount after blue, which they still are, but close. And then I had white way back, and then I had green even further back. In reality, I think every color other than blue was very playable, and they're all reasonably close to each other. That said, my new ranking is red, green, and then black, and then white, and I will go into that now. So I think, and in particular, it's how do I put this? It's actually it's less about the colors being good, and it's more about which colors are base colors and which colors are and non-base colors, right? And I found that I only really have good decks if they're base red or base blue, or the color combination that I'm in is very, very, very open. But if I'm not either of those colors, I just find my decks not functioning. All my aggro decks that aren't in base red are just like not really functional, and they don't quite do what I want to. And and blue is just great, like I said. And you can't really play anything other than aggro if you're not in blue, essentially, which is an unfortunate side effect of the format, but that's okay. And the reason for that is that red, all its cards are good, all its spell ends are good, its curve pieces are great, its common tricks are great, it has the best removal spell in the set, being Royal Eruption, and it's just like the best color by a lot, and all the other colors don't have any of these things. So getting right into that, Grotag Bugcatcher is still the best 2-drop in the set by like a significant margin. It's a 2-mana, a minimum of 2/2, and trample that when it attacks. It can get even bigger, and it's great with the Inordinate Rage, which is the other thing I've learned, is that in your aggro decks, you can just draft a pile of creatures and combat tricks, and it just kind of functions for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but it just kind of does. You just draft a pile of like mediocre creatures, especially if they have trample, that's great, but if not, it's fine, and you just play combat tricks. Combat tricks they're either burn in the late game, or they eat a creature for good tempo in the early game, and sometimes you get chip damage in by hitting a trampler, or something like that. So my base of red is usually like Grotag Bugcatcher, Inordinate Rage, Ardent Electromancer, Expedition Champion. I found Akum Helhan to be a little better than I originally rated it at. And then spell lands. And the other nice thing about red aggro decks is that all of the spell lands are really, really good, especially in the red deck specifically. They don't look like great cards on their own, but the way that red's gameplay plays out, being able to deal 1 damage for 1 mana can be super, super relevant in the right game, because it just lets you push your Grotag Bugcatcher past a 2/1 that would normally just block and trade off, and you get a couple points of damage in. But now, suddenly, you get in a bunch of damage. Kozil's Fury. In these red decks, usually you can get in a lot of damage early, you can get in chip damage, you can use your Commandant's burn spells, or Commandant's burn spells if you want, and then you just run out of gas, and then having a spell in that can just randomly for your opponent in the face in the late game is quite nice. Active Tree is the same thing. It just plays out well in the red decks. And then the Akum Warrior isn't as good, but it still functions. And then the other thing I like about all these spell lands being good is that Akum Hellhound gets a lot better, I believe. I was originally underrating this card, and I still don't think it's great in decks that are very centric on Groteg Bugcatcher. But if you're not centric on like having large party sizes, and you're more just playing like a generic creature deck and not doing particularly party relevant things, just playing a Hell on turn 1 will get you like 6 to 8 damage in, and that wins games. Especially if you're using Comet Tricks or Cosmos Fury or Royal Eruption or whatever for burn in the late game. And then the other nice thing about Spelllands, which I didn't quite talk about, is in aggro decks in particular, and why I think blue Spelllands aren't as relevant, whereas they are in these type of decks, is that you get to artificially lower your land count, right? You get to play like 14, 13 lands and not get mana screwed, and then also not flood in the late game. And that just helps you beat like the mid-range decks that are trying to outgrind you, or helps you like maintain tempo longer before running out of gas, which can even let you beat blue decks that might normally outgrind you if you didn't have those spell lands. I don't feel like there's too much else to talk about here. Cards in terms of specific card choices. Cards that have gone up for me are Royal Eruption. Originally, I thought this card was great, and then I went to, in my last guide, I thought it was like just an okay playable removal spell because it never went face. But now that I've really learned how to draft aggro, having a 2-mana removal spell is freaking amazing. It's amazing. It's so much better than 3-mana removal. The 3-mana removal is so much worse than 2-mana removal, which is actually one of the reasons I don't like white or black nearly as much, because its main removal spells cost 3 mana. Obviously, one of the black ones is the 5-mana one that gets discounted, which doesn't always cost 3 mana, but usually that's what it costs. And also being able to go face is super, super relevant. You can go 3 face if you don't have 7 lands. If you have 7 lands, that's a freaking lava axe. That murks people. That just kills people. Other cards that have gone up for me are Sneaking Guide, because it's a great 1-drop, and I do like having a couple 1-drops in my deck to make sure I can curve out even better, and going Sneaking Guide into Bugcatcher is an amazing curve piece, and then in the late game, having a Bugcatcher and a Sneaking Guide means that you can give this unblockable and attack for at least 3 damage because you have a Warrior and Rogue, and possibly even more in the late game, which just wins games, surprisingly. And your opponent can't really race you back, or you just go wide and get them. So I found red to be the best color where you can play a base because all of its cards are good. Like if you just look through the red spoiler, like which of these cards aren't good? Cleansing Wildfire isn't very good. Center Quasm isn't very good. Scavenge Blade isn't very good. Sizzling Hazard isn't very good. Legax like playable, and then Tormenting Voice and Rebel Front aren't very good. That's like 6 cards total. In every other color, you're gonna find like 12 to 14 unplayables, or at least cards that you don't really want in your deck. Whereas in red, you've got like 6 to 7 max, and even those, like Spitfire Black is a pretty playable Magic card, and you could play like the Sizzling Barrage if you're short on Comet Tricks or whatever, because it does still work very well with Trample. So I found red to be the best color, second to blue, and I want to be base red if I'm going to be an aggro deck, but if it's not open, it's not open. What are you going to do? Moving on, I think green's gone up a lot of my ratings, and green can be used as a base color, but I don't want to. I think the reason that I didn't like green initially is because I was trying to use it as a base color, when in reality you're just supposed to use it as a supplemental color. Most of my green decks end up with like 6 to 7 green cards, maybe 6 to 8, and the main fundamentals of those green cards are Kenny Bailoff. Obviously, it's a great card just as a 4-mana 6/5, but in particular, 6/5s are like a great stat line in this format, and they really let you push through. Like there's just not very many 5-power creatures that block it, at least not many playable ones. The only really good one is in green, being Timber Ascetic. So usually they have to double block, and then if you have a Comet Drake, you just completely blow them out. In addition to that, obviously it can get bigger with more land triggers, and it also just costs 4 mana for 6/5. And the other one, which is not as good, but is still very, very good, is Kazandu Stomper. Again, the 6/5 talent line is amazing. Trample is very, very relevant because Mighty Marasa is a very nice Comet Trick in green, and the upside of being able to bounce lands to recur landfall or to bounce your spell lands in late game is also very, very relevant. This card goes way too late, and I think it's one of the best green commons. And then the other card that's gone up for me and is I think a core part of most of my green decks is Mighty Marasa. I know it doesn't look like much because it just looks like a generic Comet Trick, but after playing against it, I was like, I keep losing this card. Why do I think it's trash? Maybe I should try it out, and then in reality, it's just been amazing. Because 2 mana for +3/+3, it is basically, I shouldn't say always, but it's pretty much always enough to eat their creature, right? And that's the worst case. And then sometimes you just get to Lava Axe them. If you're not sometimes if you want it to be a Lava Axe, it can almost always be a Lava Axe. Usually you can attack and they won't block one of your creatures, or you'll have a Trampler, or you'll find some way to make this into a Lava Axe, or get a bunch of value from a double block with the kicker mode. And then if you need it to cost 2 mana, then it costs 2 mana. It's just been a very flexible card that does pretty much everything that I want it to in most points in the game. And like I said earlier, I don't actually know if I said this or not, but my aggro decks, I just end up drafting like piles of creatures and Comet Tricks, and it just kind of functions for some reason as long as you have a good curve and like good rate creatures and a couple of removal spells to push your stuff through. And having reach in red or in green doesn't hurt at all. So having cards like Mighty Marasa or Royal Eruption really ups that. Obviously, Rabid Bite's good. We don't need to talk about that too much. It's always been a great removal spell whenever set it's in. It's still right here, although the fact that most of the green creatures are kind of mediocre, except for the Stomper and the Bailoff, makes it a little worse, but it's still amazing, and targeting either of those will usually get you a bunch of tempo. I don't think there's too much else to talk about with green there. The spell lands are still great, and they help a lot. The fact that the spell lands are very good in green, much better than they are in white and black, for example, is still relevant. It does still make me want to play green more. The other card that's gone up for me is Territorial Scythecat. Typically, in my non-base green decks, I don't want the Scythecat, and then you can also do base green decks. If you can't get base red or base blue, or if you just don't think that it's worth it in your current setup, then you can do Scythecat decks as well that aren't necessarily just dependent on Scythecat, but they can, like, how do I put this? If you play turn 3 Scythecat, you can play a mid-range, slowish game, and then suddenly on turn 5 or turn 6, you've got a huge board of attacking creatures. If you have a removal spell to back it up or a combat to back it up, your opponent is just, like, dead. Let's just run this through. You play Scythecat on turn 3, you play a 4-drop, hopefully it's a Canopy Bailoff, but if it's not a Canopy Bailoff, it's not a huge deal. Then you can play an Ascetic or a Stomper, or whatever you want to play, and then suddenly on turn 5 or turn 6, this thing's like a 4-5 trample, a 5-4 trample, or a 6-5 trample, and you're just attacking with this, and they have a big Bailoff and a big Ascetic, and then you can either kill their creature with a Rabid Bite, or you have a Mighty Marauders up, and they just kind of have no good blockers, and they're dead. And the only real punish to this is if they're being enough more aggressive than you with, like, the red base, but usually people aren't, and I don't think people have been turned on to how good red is quite yet, and how to build, like, the really, really good aggressive red decks. But I will show you guys examples of how to do that in just a moment. So yeah, I think that's how I usually play green. Not too much else to talk about there. All the spell ones are great. In particular, Vastwood Fortification has gone up a lot for me. Floor Hedron has actually gone down for me. Not too much to talk about there. Recovery and Ambush are obviously both amazing as well. Yeah, I don't think there's too much else to talk about there. After that, we've got Black and White, which have gone down a lot for me, and I don't think are nearly as playable. But the main core of what I wanted to tell you guys was how to draft your blue decks, because being able to force blue and artificially, like, lower the amount of blue players in the draft is really, really important and allows your blue decks to be a lot better. I actually forgot to mention this in blue, so we'll go back now. I know this isn't great sequencing, but I forgot to talk about it earlier, and I actually did want to talk about it, is the reason that I like forcing blue and taking the one good blue card out of the pack when there's, like, a Malakir Blood Priest and a Cunning Geyser Mage was my example, is because the difference in the power levels of your blue decks between, like, 2 blue players at the table and 3 is very, very high, because your blue decks are only good once you reach, like, a critical mass of blue cards. All the blue cards are very good, at least the good blue cards are. Let's, like, we can just run through a list. Bubble Snare, Geyser Mage, Field Research, Into the Royal, Domination, Riptide, Falconeer, Rooster Drakes, Ruin Crab, Skyclad Squid, Plunder, Umara Wizard, Royal Mage, and Wind Rider Wizard. That's like the core. You can all the other blue cards are playable, but that's like the core of the really good cards. And if you get enough of those really, really good cards, your deck is very, very solid. And if you don't, you need to rely too heavily on another color. And the issue is that the other colors don't pair well with blue. At least their bases don't pair well with blue. So you need blue to be open enough that you get a lot of these good cards to make blue function. And I hope I'm explaining this well enough, because otherwise your game plans just don't quite mash well. And the reason that I like blue as a base color, and I don't like it as a non-base color, is because all the other colors are just very aggressive and tempo oriented, and they just rely very heavily on combat tricks. And so you either end up playing bad blue cards like Cleric of Chill Depths, Cascade Seer, Children has been awkward for me, Deliberate, Expedition Diviner, stuff like that you don't really want to play just to have playables, and they're just kind of mediocre. Or you end up, like, mixing your game plans with another color, and then your decks just don't quite function, and you lose to, like, a pile of creatures and combat tricks, like I talked about earlier. So I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry I forgot to talk about this earlier. I guess we'll move on to Black and White. Not too much to talk about there. I'll probably just reiterate what I said in my first video and move on. But that's the core of it. Let's just recap right now so I don't forget, and so you guys don't forget, and make sure that I talked about everything I want to. So in blue, I like artificially trying to lower the amount of blue players by making picks of singular blue cards when I can, and I like not picking good blue cards in packs with multiple good blue cards, and I also like trying to read the signals by passing a pack with like 2 to 3 good blue cards and seeing if any of them wheel or not, and trying to use that to identify whether blue is open. Green's gone up a lot. Green, you can play just a pile of combat tricks and creatures. Same with red. That's why I think the colors are good. You want to be base, usually red or blue, either blue control or red aggro. You can also do base green in the right scenario. I do not want to be base white or black unless the colors are very, very open, as I will move on to now. And I think that's about all I wanted to talk about. Combat tricks are much better than I originally gave them credit for, and Royal Eruption is much better than I originally gave it credit for. So we'll just move on to black, give a quick recap on why I think black's mediocre. So the main thing is, if you look through the spoiler, like, the cards just aren't good. There's just not enough good cards that I want to put in my deck. Like, the only really good creatures in the set are in black, and this is the issue I've been having. Every time I go into black, or try and go into black, I'm like, why aren't I getting any good playables? And now that I look at the set spoiler, I'm like, oh, I know why. All these cards are bad. So the creatures that in black that you actually actively want to put in your deck, Malakir Blood Priest is amazing, obviously. Expedition Skulker is super, super good. And what else? At common. I don't want this Highborn Vampire. I don't want Muck Lord. I don't want High Constrictor. I don't want Gloom Hunter. I don't want Drawn Silencer, which I think I explained why earlier. I don't really want Blight Priest unless I'm actively in black-white, which I think is the worst color combination, so I don't want that. I don't really want Mnemonic Skydancer. It's pretty mediocre. I don't really want the Skitter Sneak. These are all just like mediocre rate cards at common that I don't want from my deck. So what are you really getting from black, at least a common? You're getting 2 okay 2-drops, or 1 great 2-drop, and 1 mediocre 2-drop. You're getting some pretty solid removal spells that are replaceable by common tricks in other colors, as I talked about earlier. And that's about it. You're getting some okay uncommons. So why are you playing black? I don't know. I've just found black to be very, very mediocre. The main upside of black is that you get removal, and then you get Subtle Strike. And Subtle Strike's been a very, very good common trick, both because it can be a removal spell if you want. You can get a 2-for-1 by killing a 1 toughness creature and then putting a counter or something. Or it can be a common trick, which I've also explained are very good in the format. But it's not as good if you don't have a good creature count, and you clearly can't have a good creature count in black because there's no creatures that you want to put in your deck. So I think I explained that pretty well. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is if you are in black, I actually have moved up a lot on Feed the Swarm because the 2-mana removal is just so freaking good. And in black, usually you can be the aggressor and not care about your own life total. And I've gone down on Deadly Alliance because removal spells that cost 3 mana, it's just 3 mana is so much worse than 2 mana. You can't double spells easily. You can't play it on Mana Screw. You can't play it on turn 2. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to explain. 2 and 3 mana removal spells are just so different in the format because you need to get ahead in tempo early and get in chip damage, or you're going to lose a late game to the blue deck. So having 3 mana removal is a lot worse than 2 mana removal, even if you have to pay a couple life for it. And then being able to kill enchantment is also quite relevant for the pacifism or for strikes or whatever the hell, bubble snare, that kind of stuff. I think that's what I want to talk about. I think I talked about why Drawn Silencer is bad in my previous video, so I don't have to go into that again. Obviously, all these non-party creature type creatures are pretty bad because they're both bad rates, and they don't have party creature types. Same with Dreadworm. Vampire is fine, but it's just a 4-mana 4/3. Blood Priest is fine, but it's a 3-mana 3/2. Same with the Skitter Sneak and the Sky Dancer. Mind Rod is fine, but not great, and that's just about it. It just doesn't quite work how you want it to, in my opinion. The spell ones are okay, but it just doesn't quite work. I hope I explained this well, but I'm not really sure what else to talk about. So we're supposed to move on to white, and why I also don't like white as much as I originally did. And the issue with white is very similar to the issue with black. It's less that there's not good playables, and it's more that all of the cards are mediocre. There's no really good cards. You're just playing like a pile of mediocre cards. So what do you have for common creatures? You've got Sellsword, you've got Expedition Healer, and those are just pretty mediocre 2-drops. I'd much rather have any of the green, black, or white 2-drops pretty much, or green, black, or red, 2-drops. They're like passable, but they're just generic creatures that don't do much. The only upside I think to white is Farsight Adept. I have gone up a lot on Farsight Adept because A, it's a wizard, which white doesn't have much of, and white also wants to have large parties, so having a wizard for 3 mana is quite nice. And then also in your aggressive decks, you want Farsight Adept because letting each player draw a card is actually an upside for you. So it's a 3 mana 3/3 with upside in your aggro decks, which is quite nice. So, like, what are you playing white for? Like, I just don't understand how you're playing white. And the issue is that I'd like to play white control because there's a couple very, very powerful like control tools, like Shepherd of Heroes and Here's Binding, Core Celebrant, but the issue is all the other white cards just don't quite function towards a controlling or mid-rangey game plan. So you just have to play aggressive, but then also all your cards are bad aggressive cards. They're just mediocre aggressive cards, at least compared to, or mediocre aggressive cards, at least compared to the aggressive cards in the other colors. I hope that makes some amount of sense. And I think another reason that I originally thought white was good and now don't is because I don't like Shepherd of Heroes very much anymore. Originally, I was like, wow, this card's insane, right? It's a 5-mana 3/4 flyer that it gains you a minimum of 2 life, and it'll usually gain you like 4 or 6 life. The issue is, usually, because, like I said earlier, your white decks have to be aggressive, so what is that life gain doing? Unless you're exactly in the aggro mirror, which I've not faced very much, why are you gaining life? It's not going to matter. If you're trying to get out controlled, they don't give a shit about your life total. If you're trying to play against a mid-range deck, usually you're not winning the late game because you're playing white and all of your cards kind of suck and they're very aggressive-oriented. It's just a pile of creatures, so the late game still doesn't do much. So in reality, you're just paying 5 mana for a 3/4 flyer. One of the archetypes that has gone up quite a bit for me is like blue-white mid-range tempo, which I originally just knocked off. I thought blue-white had to be controlling, but it can be controlling or it can be mid-rangey. You can play like mid-range blue-white flyers, and the life gain is relevant and the 3/4 body is relevant. So I think the way to really make white work is to have Shepherd of Heroes be a relevant Magic card by playing like a mid-range or control deck. They can leverage to win the game. And then also, like I said earlier, having 3 mana removal is just very awkward. I found Binding to be a very, very awkward removal spell. A, it's double white, which makes it very hard to double spell, especially if you're in 2 colors and you want to double spell with like another white card. And then also, it gets blown out by Into the Royal. And I do not want to get blown out by Into the Royal in this format. I cannot stress this enough. Getting blown out by Into the Royal is just a miserable, miserable experience, and it's going to happen very, very often. So let's say that you attack into one of their creatures that has Binding on it, and they Into the Royal it, and they eat your creature. Well, that sucks. Let's say you don't attack. Well, then they bounce the wrong creature end step, and then replay it, and that value you. And it's just like been very, very awkward for me. Not too much to talk about there. Like, the white uncommons are great, so if you get a lot of good white uncommons, like American Captain, Journey to Oblivion, and Fearless Fledging, then you can go into white, but I think the white common package is just not very good, and I don't want to be going into it. And the issue is that not all the uncommons are great, and usually white isn't open because people overrate the uncommons, not knowing how bad white really is. So I try to stay away from white at pretty much all costs. I don't want to be base white unless I absolutely have to, and the only playable color pair I think with white is pretty much just white blue. But you can do it with aggro colors. You shouldn't be not playing white just because you hate it. I do think all the colors are relatively close except for blue, and you should really just be trying to go into whatever color combination is open and play aggro if blue is not open. I think it's about all I've talked about. I'm gonna take a quick water break and think, make sure I didn't miss anything. Feel free to skip ahead if you want to. All right. Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's about it. I guess let's get into the drafts. I've done the same format as I did before. I'm going to show you guys one base red aggro deck where I just leverage a bunch of creatures and combat tricks, and the deck just functions. I'm not quite sure why, but I'll show you a single game in which it does exactly that, versus a blue control deck where you'd normally think I would just get outvalued or whatever. It just kind of plays a pile of combat tricks and creatures, and it just functions. And then I'm also going to show you a draft where I make decisions based on forcing blue and not wanting to send the signal that's blue's open, and you're going to see me get paid off for it and also be able to read signals well, hopefully. And then I'm going to show you a game, just a generic blue game. There's not too much to learn from the game, but we'll show it anyways because I want you guys to see why the deck is good. There's not really much point showing you guys a single, just like the actual draft portion, because you guys might not have an easy time evaluating whether the draft deck's good or not, and I want you guys to be able to evaluate that, or at least show you why I think the draft deck is good. So yeah, I think let's get into the draft. Oh shit. Alright, well, spoilers. Rip. Sorry about that. I had to re-record because I did a video last night, and like 30 minutes in, my brain just pooped out, and I could not think or speak. And I started slurring my words and everything, so I had to re-record today, which is actually why the video was a day later than I thought it was going to be. But I think it's better than the content that I made last night, which was not great, to say the least. Alright, so we open a Legion Angel, and not much else. The only other relevant pick is a Songline Treachery, which I'm just not taking a Legion Angel. It's a 4-mana 4/3 flyer. It's in white, but who cares? Like I said, you shouldn't be picking white or green cards here just because you think those colors are better than white, when the Legion Angel is by far the most powerful card in the pack. Not too much else to talk about there. Yeah, I mean, I think the red spell and Act Treason is very, very good, like I talked about earlier, and is pretty underrated, but I'm so much not passing Legion Angel for it. Okay, we get past the pack with a Songman Treachery, Grotag Bugcatcher, and a Coom Warrior. So no good blue card still, which means I'm not going to take a blue card just to try and force blue. I am pretty happily taking a red card here, and I'm deciding between the Bugcatcher and the Songman Treachery. I think I end up going for the Songman Treachery because I don't think the Bugcatcher is going to, or because I think the Bugcatcher might wheel where the Treachery won't. These people underrate the Bugcatcher, and they might take a rare or take the Spell End over the Bugcatcher, and then I'll be very, very happy to wheel it. Whereas if I take the Bugcatcher, people might rate the Act Treason as highly as I do. And in addition, I just want to be able to hedge, and I think Spelllands are just better than the Bugcatcher. Like, the Bugcatcher is great, but I think it's more important to have a lower land count and make sure you don't flood than it is to make sure your 2-drops are really good. Because Bugcatcher is the best 2-drop in red by, a lot, but you can get away with other 2-drops like the Fisher Wizard or like the TJP Ambusher. I'd be relatively happy with them. So I like taking the Treachery here, and I do end up taking the Treachery. Not too much else relevant in the pack, and if I wheel either of these red cards, I'll know that red is pretty open. Either of them being either the Spellwind or the Bugcatcher. Okay, here we've got a Hellhound, a Bay and Veil. I don't really like taking the Bay and Veil here because even though it would artificially try and cut off blue, it's just such a mediocre blue card. I've just been so unimpressed by this Spellwind in particular. All the Spellwinds in blue have just been so awkward for me, except for the counter spell, so I don't like taking it here. And I'm actually going to take the Hellhound here because it looks like I might just be a red-white deck that doesn't care about creature types. Usually red-white decks don't really care that much about creature types because they're in Warriors. Usually in my red decks, I'd like to play the Bugcatcher and go wide with Party, but the issue is that if you're exactly red-white, you can't because all the red-white creatures are Warriors. So and in that case, having a Hellhound isn't that bad because you're only looking to have one Warrior and then you're fine. So also, like I said, like I talked about earlier, I think Hellhound is pretty underrated, and with late Songman Treachery into a pack with 2 solid red cards, I'm just take the Hellhound here. It's close though. All these cards are pretty mediocre, so I'm just take the one that I think is the most powerful and the most likely to enter my deck, which is the Hellhound here. But I could see it being the Bay and Veil, or I could have seen it being a white card or something. I'm not actually sure. Okay, we get past the pack with a very late Blood Priest, but also a very late Spiteful Hazard and 2 other red cards. So I'm actually going to take a red card here because I feel like this is a signal that red's open, even though Blood Priest is a more powerful card, hypothetically. Like I talked about earlier, I think having a lot of spell lands is very, very important because lowering your land count to 12 or 13 is very, very nice. And then B, I think Spiteful Hazard is a very, very good card. And the other thing is C as well is that I think red's open because there's Spikefield Hazard, there's Ardent Electromancer, and there's Champion in this pack, all of which are pretty solid red cards. In addition to Pyroclastic Hellion, I actually didn't talk about this in my earlier part of my video, but I think the Hellion's also very underrated because it's a solid curve creature as a 5-drop. You don't actually have to miss your lineups to cast it because you can play spell ends, and then it also lets you bounce your spell ends to make sure you don't flood after you play it. So even though it like lowers the punish for playing your spell ends early, basically, in addition to just being like a solid card, it pretty much always is a 4-mana 4/5 that deals 2 damage to them. So we're going to take the Spikefield Hazard here and be pretty happy with it, I think. Okay, so I just make a very bad mispick here. I see a very late Shepherd of Heroes and a very late Archon of Area, which I think is a signal the white's open. And for some reason, I just see the rare card, and I say, oh, I'm going to take the rare. In reality, I should like 100% take the Shepherd of Heroes. It's just a better card. It's a Cleric, which is relevant, and it is going to gain me at least 4 life usually, because if you're in red-white, you're going to have plenty of Warriors, and it's also just a solid rate flyer. Like I talked about earlier, I don't think it's as great as I did earlier, but I still should just take it over the Archon of Area like 100%. I really don't know why I took the Archon here, just because it was a rare, so I said, no, I should take the rare. I don't really have an explanation for that, so slight mistake, but honestly, in all honesty, I don't think the Archon is that much worse than the Shepherd. It's a very good rate flyer still, and the ability is that usually is an upside in your aggro decks, because I've had a lot of games where I lost with my blue decks because I played against an aggro deck or a mid-range deck with Archon, and I just couldn't double spell, which meant that it took a long time for me to use my Tazium Royal Mages and all my Into the Royals well, and then by that time they've drawn a bunch of spells and been able to like stall out the board, if that makes any sense, and make the game close. Okay, so here we have Skycloud Cleric and we have Binding. Pretty easy between these two. I think this is pretty clear the white signal, the white is open. I know I'm going to need a lot of people disagree with this, but I'm going to take the Cleric here. I'm 100% taking the Cleric here. And the other thing is, I don't even think it's close. I honestly don't think it's close. I think it's a very, very easy Cleric. Binding's great, removal's great, but it's just been so awkward for me. Every time I cast it, it's just been super awkward, and I'd really just rather have a spell end here. Even though it's not a great spell to cast in my aggro deck, it's just like, it's a spell end, and spell ends are amazing. And it is a 2-drop, so if I need a 2-drop, it's a 2-drop, and it's a spell end. I don't know what else to say. I'm usually able to get away with just a bunch of creatures and combat tricks, and I think it's more important not to flood than it is to have removal spells. If this was a Royal Eruption, I would obviously play on the Royal Eruption, but it being Binding and me having such awkward experiences with the card means I'm definitely just going to take the spell end here. Not too much else to talk about there, I don't think. Past Max thinks it's close, but I think it's very easily the spell in there, and I back up that pick. Okay, so here we got a very late Bailoff, and even though I think I want to be red-white because they both seem very open, the last 3 packs haven't really had any good red cards in them, either the past 3 or the past 2, and that is very, very late, very good green cards. I'm going to take that on the hedge, especially because there's not really any good white or red cards. I think the next best pick would be the Sneaking Guide, because it's a very solid 1-drop that has upside, and I might have taken it if I already had like a bug catcher or 2, but given that I have 0 bug catchers and that's a very good late green card, I'm just going to take the Bailoff on the hedge, even though it's unlikely I end up in green. Okay, so this is a very easy Inordinate Rage. There's like a bunch of playable cards, and there's an Inordinate Rage. There's also a very good blue card, but blue is just not open this draft. I'd like to take it. I'd like to go into blue, but there's just 0 chance blue's open. We've seen no good blue cards in like the past 5 packs, so it's just not open. What am I going to do? And like I said, Inordinate Rage is a great card and a great combat trick that I usually actively want in my red decks. It's great with Trample, it's good with Flyers, the Scry is very relevant to like not flood and to make sure you hit your lander ups or your colors or whatever. And I think this is actually just a very, very easy pick, especially with all these spell ends and these lack of removal. So if you're going to take spell ends over removal spells, or if you're going to take cards over removal spells, then you have to take combat tricks very highly to make sure you can actually like interact and push your creatures through. Okay, this pack's bad. I can take a Skulker or a Cleric or a Spare Supplies. It doesn't really matter, honestly. I'm never playing any of these cards. Black's just not open. Green doesn't seem that open. And even if it is, I don't want the Cleric. And if I'm not playing blue, so I don't need card art for Spare Supplies. I do like Spare Supplies more than I did originally. Okay, we willed the Bug Catcher, so I'm like 100%. I did that very quickly, but it was a pretty easy pick. Wield the Bug Catcher. I'm like 100% the red's open. I'm probably going to go into white, but I could go into green here or another color even if I like get a good rare or find it's a very open pack too. But in all honesty, I'm just very likely to be white and red here. And then we got a late Squash Rider as well, which is a very good card. Ox is playable, we'll take it, but in reality, all these picks are trash and it doesn't really matter what I take. Pressure Point, whatever. It's very late Blight Blade, so here I'm actually deciding. I might go green over white, and I do have to make a relevant decision, but I'm 100% not going blue or black here. The colors just aren't open, unfortunately, so. We're red, and then we're either white or green, I believe, here. And I feel like I read the signals well. I feel like I drafted a very solid deck, and I feel like this is going to end up being a super solid deck. Wielding the Bug Catcher was like very, very important. Okay, so pretty easy Skyclave GP in here. It's a great card. It's a 3-mana 5/3 trample. It's great with Combat Tricks. It's like even better than the Bug Catcher because it has trample, which is amazing for the Combat Tricks, and then it's also just a 3-mana 5/3 basically. You don't even need other things to make it good. So that's a very, very easy pick here. There's also a Taborax, which is great, but we're just not going to be in black here, and GP's a great card and the one card that we're locked into, so we're just not passing it here. I could also wheel the Pair Tactician, which I'd be very, very happy with because there's not a lot of white players, so I think it'll probably wheel it, and it's also a very, very solid card in white-red particularly because all of our creatures kind of have to be warriors because those are the only creatures that white has, unfortunately, the white and red have. Okay, so pretty Shepherd of Heroes. We're not playing blue, we're not playing black, and there's not really any other cards here. I think about the Blood Priest and these black cards and say, maybe I should be black, but honestly, I think I just need to trust myself that I read the signals correctly pack 1, and take the best card in the pack that's in the 3 colors that we think is open, so take the Shepherd of Heroes pretty easily. I'm going to think about it some more, but I'm just going to skip ahead because the Shepherd is definitely the correct pick. Oh, no skipping, okay. Alright, now this is sad. We're just not getting great cards in white or red. I'll take the champion here. It's a 3-drop, and it's a warrior, and it's a very solid card that I did underrate previously. Now I think it's quite good. 4-3 is a good stat line. 3-mana 4-3 is a very efficient creature, and it's a warrior, which I guess doesn't really help me that much because usually my party payoffs are Bugcatcher, but it's just a 3-mana 4-3. It's a very solid card that I'm not passing. I'm tempted to take the Black Broom Rogue, but given that I've already passed 2 good black cards in the last packs, and I think black wasn't open pack 1, I'm just like locking in white red at this point. Alright, well now I get Columbia Ambush and a Rapid Bite, which is kind of unfortunate, which kind of pushes me towards green, but I think hedging here is just a mistake, and that I just have to trust that white is more open than red pack 1, because I got a late... I had a pack with a late Cleric and Removal Spell, and then I got a pack with a late Archon and Shepherd of Heroes, and I picked one in early, a Legion Angel, so I just have to trust the white is more open than red, at least it's going to be in pack 3, and just play white red. So I think Farsight Adept. Also, in addition, I do think Farsight Adept is a very, very good card. A very good and very underrated card. It's a 3-mana 3-3. It's a wizard, which is in this deck is very, very important because it buffs the Shepherd of Heroes and the Bugcatcher, and it almost always will buff them because there's not many other wizards in white or red. And he's also just a 3-mana 3-3 with Uptide. Like I said, letting each player draw a card is actually just upsiding your aggro decks. Like this is the ideal deck for Farsight Adept. So it's actually just like a good card. Like obviously removals is better than this card is, but don't get me wrong, it's like a very, very good card. It's not a consolation prize. It's a card that I actively want to have in my deck. Take a quick water break. Shit. Alright, I'm going to pause and take a quick water break, but I'll let you guys think about this pick. Alright, so I think this pick is a very easy bug catcher, and I don't think it's close. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people disagreeing with me, and a lot of people being very confused, but I don't even think it's close here. I understand this is the white-red rare. It's a chase rare, whatever the hell you want to call it, but it's just not good. It's just not a good magic card, and you want to know why? Because A, you have to put equipments in your deck to make it good. Otherwise, it's just a 3-mana 3-3 warrior, which I don't want. And B, to put it in your deck, then you have to draw the equipments. If you have to draw both it and the equipments to make it worth it. So you have to put like this and then like 2 or 3 other equipments in my deck, which I don't want because all the equipments are fucking trash, like trash, unplayable. They're not what I want to be doing in my aggro decks. And then I should also draw both of them to make either of them worth it, because otherwise I just drew a mediocre card. And then in addition to that, Bugcatcher is amazing. It's like the best 2-drop in the set, and it's particularly great in my deck. So I'm just slamming this Bugcatcher. I don't think it's close. I think about it a lot currently, but I think it's a very easy Bugcatcher here. It's not even that close. Like, again, it's the white-red rare, but I don't want to put equipments in my deck, and even if I do, I have to draw both the equipment and it to be good. If I draw 8 on its own, I'm not happy, and if I draw the equipment on its own, I'm not happy either. And if I draw 8 in the equipment, and then they kill it, I'm still not happy. So, like, why am I taking this card over a great 2-drop? And the answer is, I'm not. So, sue me. Okay, pretty easy champion. Not much else here. It's a solid 4-3 for 3. Looking like a head deck that's going to have a lot of warriors just naturally, so. Okay, pretty easy Electromancer. I could have taken the Fissure Wizard here, but I think I like the Electromancer a little better. It's just it's a nice wizard, which buffs the Bugcatchers, and then being able to play it on turn 4 plus another 3-drop is quite nice. Or being able to play it on like turn 3 into another 2-drop is also quite nice. Not too much to talk about there. Okay, very late Disruption and Plunder, which I feel bad about passing, but blue just was not open pack 1, so we can take whatever here. We're not playing any of these cards. I guess the correct pick is probably the Vortex to the sideboard to Dan, but I'm just never bringing this card in, and I'm never bringing Spite the Monstrous either. They're just like unplayable cards. I guess the Vortex would probably have been a little bit better since I could play against a white deck with like a bunch of Shepherd of Heroes and somehow like want to have this card in my deck for some reason, but it doesn't really matter in all honesty. Okay, so it's either the 2-drop or the Pair Tactician here. It feels bad taking the Tactician because I already have like infinite 3-drops here, but I think it is the Tactician. It's a very, very good 3-drop. And I think I'll get the 2-drops if I need to. Like, 2-drops in white and red, they usually go pretty late in pack 3. I imagine we'll have a pretty easy time getting them, but honestly, it might have been the 3-1 there, I'm not sure. The thing is that all the 3-drops are good, so like, do I want to cut a 3-drop here? If I'm cutting the 3-drop, it's actually just the Archon. Like, the Archon is just the worst 3-drop in our deck currently, which is weird. Now I'm very much regretting taking the Archon over the Shepherd of Heroes, but it's fine. Yeah, like, I think I'm just cutting this Archon. I don't think I'm playing it. If it's got 6 3-drops already that I don't want. Honestly, I think the 3-1 might have been better. Yeah, I think that was a slight mispick. I think the 3-1 would have been better. It's just, I need 2-drops. I don't need 3-drops. I've already got a bunch. And the Tactician is super awkward. Like, you need to attack with it to make it a 4-3, and then it just gets traded off for all. It's not really that much better than Expedition Champion, really. Okay, very easy Sneaking Guide. That's very late. I could also play Colossus, but given that I'm like Mono Warriors right now, I definitely want the Sneaking Guide. I'll probably play the Sneaking Guide with like two bug catchers, and if I get a third one, I'll be very happy with the first Sneaking Guide. The first Sneaking Guide is huge upside once you get 3 bug catchers, but even with 2, it's very good. Because going Sneaking Guide into bug catcher is an insane curve, and then in the late game, having a bug catcher and a Sneaking Guide is also just great. Like I talked about earlier, you just get to attack for 4 or 5 damage for free with unlockable. Okay, pretty easy Stampede. Not much else on the pack, and like I said in pack 1 and in my draft guide, spell ones are great, and I actively want like a bunch of them in all my decks. So not too much to talk about there. Blade Matcher would be a solid 2-drop if I get it. That's about it. It's unfortunate. Well, I guess we get ourselves sorted no matter what, because there's just no playables in this pack other than a generic 2-drops, and I'm feeling kind of bad, like I might be in the wrong colors, but in all honesty, the packs that were open just probably didn't have any playables in them. Someone just took a common that was not white or red, and there just weren't any red or red good cards opened. And this is why white's kind of mediocre. Like, the cards just aren't that good. There's just not that many good cards in them, so you end up having to take like a bunch of shitty creatures and just playing them and being unhappy. And you'll see that in my final deck list as well, is that I actually don't have that many white cards, because it's not a good color. I'll be base red and then splashing white, basically. That's another awkward thing, is that usually you splash white, which make the double white cards like Legion Angel, or more particularly like the removal spell is very awkward because it's double white. I don't want to be base white usually. And then I also need red cards, and I also need red on turn 1 for my 1-drops. So yeah, I mean that's what I'm talking about. I think white's just super awkward, super mediocre. Even when it's open, even when you pair it with a good color like red, is still super awkward. Okay, so I have to choose between Binding and Rage. Honestly, I want to take this Rage. I'm going to take the Binding here. I'm not going to be stupid and pass it, but it's close. It's way closer than it should be, because Rage is a very good combo trick, and Binding is just so fucking awkward. I just can't emphasize enough how awkward this card is. It costs 3 mana. It's double white, which is very awkward in this deck. Hopefully you can already tell why it's going to be awkward in this deck. And it's just not even that good. It's just blown up by a bunch of stuff, and having a removal spell isn't that important, where having a 2-mana combo trick is actually very important. It's very good. Like, if I actually wouldn't fault anyone for taking the Rage here. I'm going to take the Binding because it just feels too bad to pass pacifism over for a random common trick, but I think Rage is really good. And it actually might have been the correct pick, I'm not sure. Yeah, like you can see, I'm thinking about it. Okay, very easy Bugcatcher. That's very late, and I'm very happy about that. Now that I've... Oops, excuse me. Now that I've... No, sorry. Shit. Now that I have 2 Bugcatchers, 3 Bugcatchers, I'm actually hoping I will the Sneaking Guide. I will play 2 Sneaking Guides with 3 Bugcatchers. I'll be pretty happy about it, too. The curve is just too insane. It just helps so much in the late game. But yeah, it's a very easy Bugcatcher. Great 2-drop here. We're short on 2-drops, and it's just great with combo tricks as well. Easy Rage. I wouldn't mind Sellsword either here, but we've got 5 2-drops so far, and the Rage plus Bugcatcher combo is just too good to pass, I believe. If I don't take the Rage here, I'll probably end up having to play some of these Sizzling Barrages, and I'd much rather play Rage than play Sizzling Barrage. So, yeah, I think it's pretty easy Rage here. Not too much to think about there. I'm not sure why I'm thinking so hard. I guess I do want more 2-drops. I do want to make sure I have like 6 or 7 2-drops, but I'm sure I'll get some. I'll probably wheel the one with Double Striker in all honesty, if I really need it. But yeah, I'm definitely just taking the Rage here. Yeah. Also great with this GP. Okay, I think this is a pretty easy Hellion. I've got 4 spell ones so far, which makes the Hellion very good, and in addition, it's just like a solid card. Nothing else in the pack that I really want, and it's a pretty easy pick. I like having 1 Hellion. 2 Hellions get to be a bit too much if you draw multiples, because it's awkward to bounce lands and all. Oh my god, what is this pack? Okay, so we're gonna pause here. Stop talking about Hellion, but Hellion was good there. I have no idea what the fuck to pick here. Clearly I picked the right color combination though, right? There's a super late Archbishop of Iona, there's a super late Bugcatcher, and a super late Kargan War Leader. I think I actually take the War Leader here. I just have too many warriors to pass this card. I think the Archbishop would also be amazing. Go to Archbishop into Bugcatcher is just insane, right? How do you lose if you go Archbishop into Bugcatcher? Your Archbishop is a 2-2, your Bugcatcher's a 3-2, and it can get even bigger if you play like a Wizard or whatever on turn 3. But I just have to take the War Leader here. I've got a billion great warriors. Giving +1/+1 is great. Like if you play that Bugcatcher into this and attack for 3, it's just freaking amazing. Then you can have counter tricks up or whatever. If you buff the champions or the Scorch Riders, it's great. I just have to take the War Leader here, but it feels really bad passing the Archpriest and the Bugcatcher. Also, I'm never getting full party, so having Archpriest doesn't really matter. I could hypothetically get full party, but it just doesn't seem very likely, if it's even possible. So, Archpriest is basically just an X2, where your X is your party size, and it feels bad passing it, but in addition, it's a white card, and I don't want to have to skew my mana base to have white on turn 1, so I think just the War Leader here, but it feels really bad passing these 2 great cards, and I wish these cards were earlier. I wish I opened this pack or saw this pack earlier, so I might have actually wheeled a card. Like, the archetype was so open that I honestly might have wheeled one of these 2 if it was like an earlier pack. But yeah, just gonna take the War Leader here. It's a tough pick. It's a very tough pick. Okay, we'll take a Spellcraft. I'm not looking to play it, but I'll take it here. There's not much else. Okay, pretty easy 2-drop here. I do want to have 6 2-drops here, so having the Blade Master is quite nice. Not too much else to talk about there. Take an Aucture, take a Kite Sail, I guess, and maybe I'll board it in. I don't know. All these cards are pretty bad. Great. Wield the Sneaking Guide, very happy with that. Okay, with the Sellsword, that's even better. I think Sellsword's better than Blade Master, and I want 5 2-drops, so wielding that was very, very nice. Now I'm really glad I took the Inordinate Rage. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. I will go through the build of the deck, which isn't that hard, and then I'm going to take a break to eat with my family, and I'll finish the recording in a sec and edit it back in so they're right after each other. So yeah. How do I build this deck? So we're cutting, I think this Synchronized Spellcraft because there's too much mana. We're cutting, what else are we cutting? The Blade Master, since I think 6 2-drops is enough, and the Blade Master seems like the worst of them. We are cutting one more card, and then 14 lands, I believe, and then we're cutting, maybe a Scorch Rider? Yeah, so a Scorch Rider, a Blade Master, and a Spellcraft, I believe, and blind 14 lands. 14 lands with 4 spell lands seems correct. Normally with 4 spell lands, I like 19 total mana sources, but given that I'm an aggro deck and don't want to be flooding out at all, I think I need to play 14 lands here. So yeah, I think it's pretty easy cuts. Let's make sure that's what I actually do. Yeah, okay. Smart. All right, so I'm going to pause this recording. I'll be right back to play the game and then do the second draft. All right, I'm back and I drank some coffee, so hopefully I'll be able to speak more clearly now. Anyways, so we've got a playable hand of red and white magic cards, and we're keeping it. It's not ideal because I'd obviously like one of these planes to be a mountain and we could curve out even better, but I'm not going to mold in this hand. I can go Sellsword into Tactician, and then I can have a lot of draws for a mountain, and then I can play the War Leader, and if I go Sellsword into Tactician and a War Leader, I don't see myself losing. Unfortunately, this is kind of a mulligan with the Sneaking Guide, but I think the curve is good enough, and we have one of the best cards in our deck being the War Leader that I just can't quite mulligan. So, just gotta keep this. Be reasonably happy with it. If you hear some licking in the background, it's because my dog, she's pawing around and snorkeling. She's a French bulldog. Yeah. I'm going to play this guy tapped here to make sure, because if I don't draw planes or if I don't draw a land here, then I want to be able to make sure I Tactician on turn 3, because even the Sellsword into Tactician on the play, if he doesn't have a 2-drop, that might just be enough to win, right? So I want to make sure I can play the Tactician on turn 3. Yeah, but I don't know if you can hear that. My egg's digging into the ground. He does that before he lies down. It's kind of weird. What are you doing, Stella? You want to say hi to YouTube? Okay, come say hi. Yeah, so pretty easy plays here. Drew a non-land, so we attack for 3 and play the Tactician. Not too much to think about. Yeah, I know. Come say hi. Come say hi. No, don't lick my ear. No, we're not licking my ear. We're not licking my ear. I know. You think she likes licking ears. It's weird. Yeah, say hi. There you go. Alright, that was unfortunate. That was very unfortunate. These get Cinderplasmed. Hopefully we draw a land. Preferably a mountain. We can gem our angel. Okay, there we go. So now we're still in pretty good shape, honestly. Hopefully Legion Angel will hard carry us here. Obviously don't have them yet, but 4 mana 4/3 flyer is quite good. We can play the War Leader next turn. Start hitting him for 5. If he has another rule spell, we're obviously fucked, but like I just don't get to play around things here. Don't really care about that at all, so that's good for us. Yeah, Jam War Leader. That was actually a very good draw there. Because now if they play a flyer or another creature trying to double block me, I can get rid of it and get in for a bunch of damage. So here's where the binding's great, and the Comet Trick wouldn't be amazing, but I still maintain that the card's been very mediocre in my experience, but it's possible that I'm underrating it. So ideally here, I'll just play a creature, and then we'll passive submit to play a Sneaking Guide, attack for 8, and they'll be in pretty good shape. Got the Hellion, can bounce the Basilica to get back the 1/3 and deal damage to them. Yeah, I think Hellion's another solid card. Obviously, it'd be nice to get back a spell that would be better than a generic 1/3 that gains 2 life, but still, it's a 4 mana 5 mana 4/5 that deals 2 damage and gets me another spell, so it's pretty free. Pretty nice card. This deck honestly could use 2 of them. Usually, though, I don't have enough spell lands to warrant playing 2 of them, but with 4+ and them all being pretty good, I think I could definitely play 2 Hellions in this deck if I had them. We get Spellcrafted. It's not a huge deal. Hopefully, we'll draw either a land or castable spell here. Because I obviously don't want to just have to play Sneaking Guide and pass, and I also don't want to Hero's Binding the Wind Rider Wizard, because it's not very relevant here. It doesn't block the War Leader or any of my creatures. I'm not sure why I'm taking so long, honestly. I'm just going to skip ahead to the next turn. Okay, so we draw a Farsighted Adept. That was a perfect draw, because us each drawing a card's an upside. It's a white 3-drop, which means we can also play the Sneaking Guide here, so that is an amazing draw. We draw into a champion. Although champion would have been a little better there, I think, because the 5/4 was so big, but yeah. So whatever, they play something next turn, we go with the Binding, and then attack them for either 6 or 7. As long as they play a creature here. And we should be in pretty good shape. I guess they do start having 6 mana, so they could like kick the 3/2 and bounce on my 3 drops, which actually be very annoying given that I'm not hitting my land drops here. Yeah, look like that's what they have. Yeah, so that's very annoying. They get to loot, they get to bounce one of our 3 drops, and then I guess we binding that attack for 3, which isn't ideal, but like we just don't want to start getting damage there, so we can go wide or give it a blockable or whatever to kill him. We could also play the champion here and the next turn go for the binding, which would also be a reasonable line. I think it'll depend. If we were all land, I'd probably just jam the hell in just for tempo. I think if I don't draw land though, I just want a binding, especially if he attacks here. If he attacks, I'm just like 100% gonna binding. Take my 4 damage. Because the issue with like playing a champion or a farsighted adept here is if he just has like a second one, I'm mega punished. Interesting. It's a tap land, so I'm definitely playing that as a land. In the next turn I could like Hellion. Yeah, so with that draw, I think I definitely want to go for binding and just getting chip damage. Because the next turn I can play Hellion, head him for 2, and then bounce the caverns. So it's basically 3 damage. So putting him to 5 is very good. Now he's basically 2 away from lethal, which we can get pretty easily with this Deacon Guide here, or by going wide or whatever we want to do. And he can't attack us very well because he needs to be afraid of us going wide, or we'll just kill him if we go wide. And also this way, if we draw land, we can double spell. So yeah, I think I like the binding there. He's doing some playable things, but I'm not too scared. So yeah, we've got 2 draws for land. We can play the Adapt and then look for land and then play the Champion, and then we're like pretty ahead on board. And we're doing okay in the late game since, like I said, he can't really attack us. Otherwise, we'll go wide and like murder him with the Hellion. Yeah, so we'll just gem I guess we'll gem the Adept before the Champion, but we're definitely going Adept plus Champion here. Champion's a great attacker while we have the War Leader because 5 is a great stat line on this board. And he'd be pretty dead. So this is an example of like, even though he had the board right for our 2-drop and 3-drop, that's kind of insane to beat that, but we're beating it because he's just playing a pile of creatures, and we've got Comatrix, although we didn't draw any. We've got a single rule spell, which I guess was quite good here, to be fair, so maybe I do underrate it, but I know we've got... If we draw a Comatrix, it would be great here, and it would have been great in most of these scenarios in this game. Excuse me. Not sure what this is. A little scared. Okay, never mind. Not very scared of that. Doesn't do anything, so I guess probably just attack with the Champion here to offer the trade. I'm surprised if he doesn't attack with a Riptide here, but he doesn't. That's a very weird not-attack, given that he has good blockers and he doesn't need to kill us, but he's at 5, so I guess I get it. That was a great draw, actually. So now he's just, like, dead, right? We attack with the Champion. He has to either Trumpet or trade with the Sentinel, which I'm also happy with. Then we can go Bugcatcher plus Hellion, and then the Bugcatcher's lethal with the Unblockable from the Guide, and we're also threatening lethal by going wide with the Hellion and adapting the War Leader and whatever, and force him to make 5 blocks. So we seem to be in a very great spot here. He's also just running out of the cards, so we can honestly just have value him. Excuse me. That's a good double block from him because we could have both of the common tricks in common and white and red give +2 toughness, so that's actually a very good double block from him. Although just get punished by like a instant speed removal spell for his Sentinel. So yeah, kill the Sentinel, player stuff, bounce the Cavern. The 1 damage is much better than the 1/3 I think here. Just because like next turn I can attack with the Hellion and then ping off the Riptide after he blocks in case he somehow manages to not be dead by like killing my Bugcatcher or my Sneaking Guide, which is nice. And then also having the 1 damage to be able to go face is quite nice as well. What to talk about here? Just skip ahead a little bit. Okay, so he plays a Doomar Wizard and passes. We're just going to give him Unblockable and attack with everyone here. He's pretty fucked. Yeah, he's got 1 Garden, so unless he kills the Bugcatcher, we're fine. And I think we'll probably attack with the Hellion as well, because probably the Hellion and the Adept actually, because I'm okay with him double blocking the Adept with like the Windrider Wizard and the World Chaser, and I'm also okay with like worst case scenario, he kills our Bugcatcher or bounces it, right? And then I do have to play on that, so then he probably blocks the Riptide on the Hellion, then we ping it off, and then he can like double block the Farsighted Adept. The issue with attacking with just the Hellion is that he can like double block with Wizard and World Chaser or whatever, which or Kaza, not World Chaser but Kaza, and then it's not a great block. Not a great attack for us, but we should be fine here. Okay, so he makes a double walk there. He makes a double walk there, plays the Riptide here, and then he has a Chilling Trap to let him live. He'll only be taking 1 damage here, so this hazard won't be lethal. So we're probably just paying the Risen Riptide, because once I kill the Risen Riptide, then the 4/5 gets in a lot of work, whereas currently the 4/5 is just getting blanked by the Riptide. So yeah, we'll kill the Risen Riptide. We'll trade off for the 2/2 flyer, and he'll be pretty far behind. He's still threatening. We're still threatening lethal with Unblockable, or trample damage if he kills the Sneaking Guide. Our 4/5 is pretty good here. Our 3/3 is pretty good as well. We can attack with like a 3/3 and the 4/5, and he has no good blocks, and this game just seems pretty over. So yeah, kill that end step, and then his turn. Oh shit, he conceded. Right. And then he just conceded. He just relined and conceded. So yeah, this is what happens. You just play some creatures, even though my opponent's playing blue, and he had like a decent control start. He just is kind of a mediocre deck, and we just beat him. And the thing is, like, yes, this red-white aggro deck might not be able to beat the blue decks that I draft, but it is able to beat the blue decks that other people draft, and that's what's important. Is being able to beat other people draft, not to beat the decks that you draft. And not everyone knows how to draft blue and how to read signals as when blue's open and figure out how to get the really good blue decks that I do. And this does do a pretty good job of beating the mid-range decks that people draft for some reason, like the black mid-range decks, and a good job of beating the blue decks that are mediocre, like this one, like the one my opponent's playing. I could also see cutting the Hellhound in this deck because it doesn't add to party and I do have 3 bug catchers, but honestly Hellhound is just so good, I don't want to cut the card. It's just so much value, I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward draw, but I think it's a keep, right? The War Leader is just such a good card in our deck, and I'm just not going to mulligan this, I don't know. Oh, apparently I am. Really? I'm surprised I mulligan that, honestly. Well, let's think about it a little more. Why did I mulligan this? I don't have a 2-drop, I guess, but War Leader is like the best card now. I guess this has to be mulligan, right? Maybe if it was 2 plains, 2 mountains, because then I can go War Leader into Binding without using the Stampede, but I'd like to save the Stampede, and I also like to play creatures on turn 2. I guess this is a mulligan. Honestly, it's close, and I'm not sure why I mulligan this. It's very close. I think the mulligan's justifiable, but I think I would keep in my current state at least. It's just good lands and spells, one of our best cards, and I would just keep it. This is obviously a snap keep, and then we can bottom plains and carve out hopefully. Or bottom mountain, excuse me, because we double white cards, but not really any double red cards. Oh, that's a great draw. So yeah, we get a nice carve out here. Solid hand. Cleric's obviously not the best 2-drop, but it's spell land. I'm glad it's in my deck, and I'm glad it's not a land, or it would be much worse if it was just a land. Then I wouldn't have 2-drop to cast. I'd have a land, which would be much worse. Alright, that's actually a very good draw to push our stuff through. So yeah, we'll jam the Cleric, then we'll jam the War Leader. I could hypothetically see playing the Cleric as a land there to like make sure I get the turn 4 Scorch Rider off, but honestly, I think I'm more worried about like not flooding here, and the Cleric should get in like 1 or 2 damage here, especially with the Common Trick as backup. Could not attack there to not get blown up by the Zulaport Duelist, but he did not strike me as the deck to play Zulaport Duelist, so I'm not really very scared of it. Could also attack first and left with the Rage so I wouldn't get blown up, but honestly I also just don't care about the Sneaking Guide. Sneaking Guide's only really good if I draw the Bug Catchers, and I just haven't drawn the Bug Catchers so far, so I don't care that much about it. I said deliberate, I probably should check how he scryed, but I didn't because I'm lazy. He should play a 3-drop here, and I won't be too scared. We played Field Research? Alright, I smell blood. I smell blood. He hasn't played a 2-drop or a 3-drop, I'm smelling blood right now. This guy's not looking hot. So yeah, I mean, they just drew kind of mediocrely, and you punish them. I'm not sure this is the best example I could find, but honestly, like, unfortunately, I haven't been recording all my games, because I've been getting frustrated and just, like, drafting the whole shit done. It's hard to explain, but yeah. I think this is the best example of the aggro deck that I drafted, at least the draft portion was, and I think the gameplay is, like, reasonably educational as to why it works. Like, we're not playing powerful cards. We played a kind of shitty 1-drop, kind of shitty 2-drop, I have a great 3-drop, and we just carved out, and my opponent drew kind of awkwardly, and just didn't do what they needed to do, and now we're just murdering them. Now we just attack. Wait, why am I? Okay, this play might have been. No, this play was good. I should have thought about it more, but this play was good. I should have thought about it more because it's a very good line is go Bug Catcher plus Rage. I can attack with everyone, and if he blocks, I kill his guy and then play Rage. But the issue with that is if he plays like a 4/4, I don't want to trade with the Bug Catcher, then I have no good attack. So I think I like saving the Rage here because we can just ignore the 2/3. Whereas if we use the Rage, he might play like a bigger creature that we can't ignore. Turns out it would have worked out fine, but I think I like the no blocks there. Or like the not going for the combat trick there. So yeah, we can play around the -4/-0 here if we attack with the War Leader. If he double walks, we can go Rage, and even if he goes -4/-0, we still get to kill his Rider Wizard, which is 1/1, good tempo, and then we can play the Bug Catcher. We can give that unblockable and start marking him. So yeah, I think we should attack with the Scorch Rider and the Wizard here. Could actually attack with the Cleric too. I think I like the attack with the Cleric actually. Just 1 free damage. If he's gonna double walk the Cleric, I'm totally okay with that. I'll just like let it get eaten and hit him for 8, and I'm actually just pretty fine with that. And if he doesn't, then it's 1 free damage. Like, he's definitely going to try and kill the War Leader here. He kind of has to. And yeah, so we're going to order the Wind Rider Wizard first here to play around the -4/-0. We'll Inordinate Rage. And then either kill both of his guys or one of his guys. Either way, I'm pretty happy. Then play a Bug Catcher. We give that unblockable or just attack for like 5 trample damage, which is also pretty amazing. And we're just looking like we're in pretty good shape. Keep any spell on the top here, honestly. Like, it's a bit awkward. I can't both play that and use Sneaking Guide, but I don't even need to use Sneaking Guide here. I can just attack for 5 with my Bug Catcher. He's got the Chilling Trap. It's a bit annoying, but it's honestly just fine. He's so far out in tempo. He's taking a bunch of damage. I think this game's pretty over. If you save ahead, it's pretty obvious what's going to happen here. So you play the Riptide. Doesn't really do anything. And Cleric Chill Depth's also very annoying, but not a huge deal. So we give Bug Catcher unblockable here, and then attack for 5, and then attack with the Scorch Rider as well as a free attack. I think I like that. We could also attack with just the Bug Catcher. I think I have to give unblockable here, because the issue is if I just attack with the Bug Catcher, I can double block with Cleric and Skyclef Sentinel, and I'll get to kill one of them, which is very bad for me. So, also if we give unblockable, it's starting lethal next turn. So I definitely give it unblockable. Also, the Tactician would be good next turn, as attacking is a 5/4, but it wouldn't be amazing, and I think it's pretty replaceable. I like to get in the damage in while I can, and then he also has to chump here. Yeah, I think I like the unblockable there, even if it means not getting the Tactician down. So now we're threatening lethal with the Sneaking Guide. We're also threatening to go wide here, especially in 2 turns. Even if he finds a way to kill the Bug Catcher or the Sneaking Guide, we're still threatening to go wide in like 2 turns once our Scorch Rider on taps. And this game just feels pretty over, so yeah. Pile of creatures and combat tricks. It just works. Curve out well. punish your opponent for stumbling, and you just win the game. Okay, so he plays Kick the Geyser Mage, buffs block, or excuse me, bounces our Sneaking Guide. I'm not sure why I bounced that over the Bug Catcher. That was just loose. If he bounces the Bug Catcher, he'd just be in a much better spot there. I guess if he doesn't, I can give the Hellhound unblockable. But I kind of feel like he needs to bounce the Bug Catcher because now he's just tackle everyone, right? And his blocks are what? He can put the Riptide on the... He has to put the Riptide on the Bug Catcher, he dies, right? Which is very bad for him, right? Because he puts the Riptide on the War Leader, then he can put the Geyser Mage on the Hellhound, and the Sentinel on the Bug Catcher, and he takes 3 trample. 2 trample plus 1 off the Cleric. So he should chump the Riptide on the Bug Catcher. He can trade the Geyser Mage off and block the Hellhound, and then he takes 1. That's just not a good spot for him. So I think I'm gonna bounce the Bug Catcher there, but I mean he's pretty fucked either way. So yeah, we're just gonna attack with everyone, play our land, attack with everyone, and then put him to a minimum of 2. Yeah, so we put him to 2. He trades the War Leader for the Geyser Mage, which isn't great, but it's fine. The Sentinel bounces off the Hellhound. The Riptide gets eaten, and the next turn we get we're threatening lethal. Both of them block a land with going wide by like quite a large margin. So yeah, easy clap. Game's pretty over. Not too much to talk about. We'll get into the other draft very shortly. Yeah, and he just blocks wrong here, so he's just dead. Yeah, like this is the block that he wants to make, obviously, but this just puts him dead, right? Because it's 2 trample plus 1. So yeah, that's why I had to bounce the Bug Catcher there. Okay, so easy clap, win the match. We take those. All right, let's get into the draft. This is a nice example of the blue draft. In particular, the draft is good. You can watch the game if you want to, but it's not amazing. It's just like a solid blue gameplay thing, and it should be somewhat indicative of why having a high consistency of very good blue cards is much better than having just a couple of good blue cards, but it's not great. Anyways, watch the draft. There we go. Okay, so easy Channeler here. It feels bad passing into the Royal, but Channeler is just not a passable Magic card. It's a great 2-drop, which I think is very important. It's having 2-drops in red, and it just basically says you can't flood, and it also can be a 4/4 later in the game, so I'm just not passing it, right? The card's just too freaking insane. Into the Royal, I think, is one of the best commons. Royal option is, like, I think the 3rd best common after probably Into the Royal and Bubble Snare, but I'm just not passing Magic Channeler here. It just says you never flood, in addition to being, like, a good 2-drop with late game upside. In addition to not flooding, you can also just, like, turn your lands or spells into other good spells, like... If it's just like you don't have a good turn, you can just discard one of your awkward spells and then find something else good. The card's just too good to pass. Way too good. So I think that's actually a pretty easy pick. Obviously, it does feel bad passing these cards, and this is one of the scenarios where I would like to pick Into the Royal over it, because there's one big good blue card, and I don't want to send the signal that blue's open. But I don't know. Channeler's just too good to pass, in all honesty. And also, red is the 2nd best color. Maybe if this was like a green bomb, if it was like a Scoot Swarm, I could maybe see it, but honestly, still no. All right, now I take Restricts. Now, this is a scenario where there's a great red card. Rock Sorcerer is a great red card, and we already are looking to be in red and looking to be in Wizards. But Restricts is an insane blue card, and I want to be in blue, and I don't want to pass any good blue cards. So I just have to take the Restricts. Because the issue is, like, if I pass a single Into the Royal, whatever, I took a rare, people might think that blue's not open. If I pass a Restricts, there is no fucking chance that people don't think blue's open here. So we just have to take the Restricts if we want to be in blue, and I think we do want to be in blue. Most of my dice I want to be in blue, so I want to leave the option open in case it's open. I want to leave the option open to be in blue in case blue is open. So you can never hard force blue, but reading signals how to err here. I know this is too late in the video, but here's how I would frame it. You can't hard force blue, but the way to read signals as to whether blue's open is different than the rest of the colors. You can't just take the best card in every pack and then try and figure out what's open like you can in other colors. In blue, you have to take the blue card, like no matter what, to see if blue's open. Because if you pass good blue cards, it doesn't matter whether blue's open. It's too late once you've passed the good blue cards. All right, I hope that makes sense. So yeah, here we get a pretty easy Roller Option. I think Royal Camo, it's a very good card as well, especially if we're going to blue or Wizards, but I'm just not passing Roller Option. If I don't have in blue, it's great. If I do end up in blue, it's freaking great. Either way, it's got Kicker, which is relevant for Strikes, and I'm just not passing it. It's a great removal spell, costs 2 mana, great aggregate control. One of the best commons in the set. Just not passing it. Pretty easy there. Also, Royal Camo, it just might wheel. People don't really rate that card nearly as high as I do. Not sure I'm taking so long. Actually, I think I was AFK for this draft. Not like completely AFK, but just like here. Okay, so now here's the prime example. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, we got a Cunning Geyser Mage, which is actually the card I used to make your earlier example. We got Deadly Alliance, which is a much better card. We've got Spoils Adventure, which is a much better card, but I am snapping off the Cunning Geyser Mage here, and it's not even freaking close. Yep, I want to take Alliance, I want to take Spoils Adventure, but I'm just not passing this Geyser Mage. Like, if I do, people will think blue's open, and I don't want people to think blue's open because I want to be in blue. And in addition to that, even though these are very good cards on power level, the issue is that I don't love blue-white, and I don't like Alliance or Heroes Bindings in the decks that they want, in the decks that they're in. They're in the worst 2 colors, and they're actually not as good as like random above rate creatures or Comet Tricks, or they're not that much better than those, if that makes any sense. So I think it's actually a very, very easy Geyser Mage, even though it does look like a very weird pick. So this is what I'm talking about. This is a prime example of how I draft my blue decks. And we get another pack. I think I'm taking these. What am I taking here? It's actually interesting. I don't remember what I took here. So we got Spoils of Adventure, which is a great card, but I think now that I already passed one, it's kind of hard to take another one, and also I'm just not sure if White's open so far. There's a Selene Vision, which is a like playable spellland, but like I said, I don't actually think spelllands are that good in blue-red, or in blue, just because they've been very awkward for me. There's a solid 2-drop in Fissure Wizard, and there's a very good white card in Shepherd of Heroes. I think the pick is either the Spoils of Adventure or the Selene Vision, and I think the correct pick is the Spoils of Adventure, although I do think I'm going to mispick and take the Selene Vision instead, which is defensible. I think at this point, this draft's actually like a couple days old, and I had figured out that forcing blue is like a must, but I hadn't figured out that spelllands aren't great. And in addition, it is relevant that I do just want to take the blue card and not pass the Selene Vision. So I'm going to take the Vision here, but I'm honestly not sure if it's better than Spoils of Adventure. Okay, pretty easy Fissure Wizard. It's a red card. Red has seemed somewhat open, and it's just a great 2-drop in any red color. It's obviously not as great as the 1/2 Trample to the Bug Catcher, but it's a very solid 2-drop that I'm just not passing here. Should have thought about it a little more, I think, but I think it definitely is the Wizard. There's really not much else in the pack. I have not been impressed by Synchronized Spellcraft. I could see taking a Scythe Cat on the hedge into green, but Scythe Cat is not great in red-green or blue, especially in blue-green. So we've got a Blight Blade and Arbor Mage, which are pretty late, and we've got a Hellion. I'm just taking the Hellion here. It's a solid creature with a decent curve piece. If I end up in red, non-blue, I think if I knew it was going to be in blue here, I wouldn't take the Hellion. I would like take a green card on the hedge. But given that I think I don't know if I'm blue or not, I'm going to take the Hellion. Because I'm going to take the Hellion because if I knew it was in blue, I wouldn't take the Hellion because it's not great in blue, right? You don't really want a generic creature that deals damage to your opponent. Damage isn't relevant. The bounty of the spell isn't relevant because you want to make your land drops, and it's just not great in blue-red. And unfortunately, I don't know. Now I know for sure. Now I wish I'd take the Hellion, but it's not a big deal. I wasted like one pick. We're obviously taking Bubble Snare here. It's like one of the best blue commons, and it's 7th pick, so that's got to be a signal. Either people don't know how to evaluate Bubble Snare, or it's just or blue is open. So I haven't been impressed by Deliberate. I like Raw Card Advantage more than I like Deliberate, and I like playing 2-drops more than I like playing Deliberate. So I think it's pretty easy pack beast because we might want to splash. We could hypothetically still be red aggro or red mid-range or red blizzards, and then have this pack beast to be quite nice because it adds party and it is also a wizard. So we'll take it over Deliberate, although I don't love it, and I do think Deliberate is it's not underrated, but I underrate it personally. I think I'm too low on it, but I don't like the card very much, and I generally rather have like a generic 2-drop or an actual card advantage spell. Okay, I guess Negate's fine, Ambusher's fine. Honestly, I don't know what to take here. I think I'll take the Ambusher on the off chance that blue isn't open, because passing either of these blue cards isn't really a signal because they're both bad blue cards. And Ambusher is actually a fine 2-drop if I end up red aggro, which I could be since we've gotten a lot of good red 2-drops pretty late. But I don't love it, and it's possible that the negate for the sideboard's a little better. Honestly, I'd respect any pick here. They're all fine. I do like having one negate in the sideboard for like control mirrors or whatever. Pretty late Lagak, so we could still play red mid range. The late Bubble Snare was probably a signal, but okay, those picks were too fast. The late Bubble Snare was probably a signal, but you never know, and it's possible blue isn't open. But it kind of has to be this one. I do want to be in blue. Hopefully we'll get a good pack too because we cut off all the good blue cards. Pretty easy Lagak. I've been impressed by Lagak. Pretty easy Spare Supplies. That's great. We've no card so far, and it's a nice 2-drop. Honestly, Spare Supplies has been very, very impressive, especially if you don't have 2-drops. But even if you do, you can like play it on turn 2, play a 3-drop, and then play another 2-drop plus another, and you play 2 2-drops. So it just always does stuff, right? Like on turn, if you don't have 2-drop, then it's good. If you do, then you play it, and then on turn 4 you crack it, and then play another 2-drop. Like it just is always pretty good. Nice card filler, card advantage, nice. Like it's not as good as either of the other card advantage spells in blue, the uncommon draw 3 or the kicker divination, but it's very solid. It's a very, very good replacement for those if you don't get them. Okay, so here's an interesting choice, and I think in hindsight I should take the Into the Royal, but I'm going to take the Wizard here. I think I would take the Into the Royal if I wasn't in red, but the fact that I'm in red and looking to be in like blue-red Wizards at this point makes me want to take the Umara Wizard because it's actually just like a good card. Normally I don't like Wizard because my blue decks are so controlling and it's not a very good blocker, but in this deck where I might want to be aggressive, I think I like the Umara Wizard a little better. That said, I still think Into the Royal's correct pick. Into the Royal is just such a fucking disgusting card. I don't know. Yeah, I am taking the Wizard here, but honestly I'm not sure if it's correct or not. We get Into the Royal anyways, luckily. Also, a Bug Catcher would be solid in this deck, but I'm just not passing Into the Royal here. It's like one of the best blue commons. Yeah, I'm really not sure about that pick of the Umara Wizard, but it's the pick I made. I think it's pretty defensible. All right, so blue's clearly open now. We've got 4 good blue cards in this pack, and then also Riptide's pretty solid. We have to take the Domination because Mind Controls are busted, but if we wheel any of these blue cards, I'll be very happy. Especially the Geyser Mage would make me very happy. The Chronicler also looks quite nice because we do have Roller Eruption and Restrict, so looking for these good kicker spells would be nice, but I'm just not passing Domination. I'm just not. It's possible it's incorrect to take it here, but I just can't pass the card. It's just too fucking good. Yeah, maybe it is incorrect, honestly. I should have thought about it more at least. I do have a lot of good kicker cards that I actively want to look for. And even if you don't find a kicker spell off it, like looting is quite nice as well for free. If I had Royal Mages, I would also say the Domination is correct, but I don't even have any Royal Mages to get it back yet. Yeah, this might have been a bad pick. I'm not sure. It's close, though. Oh, shit. Alright, well, spoilers. Okay, so we got a Visit Hall. We're slamming it. We're splashing it. Glad with Pack Beast now. This card is just fucking obscene. You just do not pass this card. If they don't kill it, if they don't remove it from the battlefield, you win the game. You like can kick into the Royal. You can bounce their creature twice and draw 2 cards. You can bounce your own Visit Hall and put more counters on it next turn. You can like do whatever the hell you want, and is like as soon as you untap with it, the game's just fucking over. You can copy Royal Eruption, you can copy whatever you want. In addition to just an X-Men XX, even if you don't have a rule spell, or even if you don't have a kicker spell, and then it's just disgusting. Like I'm 100% taking it, and I'm 100% splashing it here. The card's just too gross. Very, very happy with that pickup. So yeah, we're locking in blue at this point. I think we have to lock in red just because we haven't seen any of their open colors. We've got some solid red cards, but I might want to be like mono blue, splash red, splash green, right? Like I might just splash for like the Channeler and the Royal Eruption and cut all these red 2-drops and the Yak and Hell in here. But I'm not sure. It's going to depend on how open blue is in pack 3. I think blue's pretty open in pack 2 pretty clearly, but we'll see how many blue cards we get in pack 3 or if we have to be more base red. Didn't mean to cut that. I'm not sure why I did. I didn't mean to cut that. I didn't mean to cut that. Okay, pretty easy Riptide. Not much else in the pack. Riptide's looking solid in this deck. Oh, did I miss a bunch of picks? I might have. Rip. Sorry, guys. I keep missing picks when I skip forward. It's like 20 seconds of dead air time, and then as soon as I skip, I miss like 3 picks. Okay, so very easy into the Royal. It's like one of the best commons. It sucks passing Field Research, and I would obviously like it very much. And also Spellwind would be solid, but I'm just not passing into the Royal. The card's too gross. And now that I have the Into the Royal, I'm going to easily take this Riptide because I'm pretty sure I want to be blue. It's the only really good blue card in the pack. I'm not nowhere near Sword the Thought Thief, and I've got 2 Into the Royals now, and the curve of Risen Riptide into the Into the Royal is just too gross. So I already easily taking Into the Royal here. Although I don't love it so far. We're kind of short on kicker spells. Normally I have more at this point. Okay, taking another Into the Royal. I don't love it. It could be the Infiltrator. Yeah, it could be the Infiltrator here. I'm not sure. This is not the deck for Infiltrator. I think the reason that I am going to end up going for Infiltrator is like a very deep reason. And the reason is, A, it's good with Into the Royal, which I already have 2 of. Because it makes their attacks awkward, and you can just bounce their creature and draw a card for free. And then B, I already want Stormward Pack Beast to help me splash, because it's a good 2-drop that helps me splash, and then it also is very good with Infiltrator because it is a rogue as well. So I think I'm going to take the Infiltrator here, but it is close, and I don't mind the Risen Riptide. If I had more kicker spells, I might take the Riptide here, but with only like 5 so far, and then also Royal Eruption, which doesn't quite count because you don't want to be kicking it that often, I think it's got to be the Infiltrator. Excuse me. Yeah, I should have taken Infiltrator here, but it's close. I'm not sure if it's correct or not, honestly. That's definitely a close one. God damn it. Every time I skip ahead 30 seconds, we waste like 5 picks. Well, okay, anyway, so here's a pretty easy Stalker. I'm not playing any of these red cards, and like Stalker is hypothetically playable, and it's a Rogue for the Infiltrator if we want to go like more heavy on Rogues for some reason. We get like a second Infiltrator or something. Wield the Plunder, very happy with that. We did not wield Into the Royal. I think there's also an Into the Royal in this pack. Wasn't this the pack with like 5 good blue cards? Or maybe there's a next pack, I'm not sure. No, this pack I think should just have like Plunder and Into the Royal. Whatever. We wield into the Plunder. It's a pretty clear signal the blue's open. Pretty happy with that. Then we wield the Veil. This was the fact that I had a bunch of blue cards in it, and we wield the Veil. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that we didn't wield more than that. It means like 4 people pick blue cards out of that pack, which is pretty surprising if I'm honest. But it could just be that there's like no other playables in the pack because it was pretty late. Like if it was 7th pick, if there were 7 cards left in the pack and there was only the Veil, I'd be very surprised. But with only 4 cards left in the pack, people who aren't blue probably just took blue cards there. Yeah, so at this point, I think I'm looking to like splash green and splash red. Cut like the Wizards, the Lagak, and the Hellion, and just splash the Royal Eruption and the Vizal. So I've got a lot of blue playables. I don't love the C4 Stalker, but I think it's enough better than the Fizzer Wizards. Or it's close enough in power level to the Fizzer Wizards that I'd rather play it over a red card and just make my mana better. Because I do need to hit double blue pretty actively for like Rooster Drake, Supple Snare, and into the Royal on turn 4. Alright, this is an interesting pick. I think I'm going to take the Scoot Swarm here because the card just solos games. I think people are sleeping on Scoot Swarm. They just don't realize how good it is. But if you play that card in turn 5 or turn 6 and then play land with it, it's just too gross. Like, it just takes over games easily and wins them. In addition, you can also play it on turn 3 and make some chump blockers or some trade with some X1s or do whatever you want. Cards let you do whatever the fuck you want. It's amazing. I already want a splash screen for the Vezahol. If I didn't have a Vezahol here, I'd probably take the Umaro Mystic or the Royal Mage, but given that I already am not sure I want to be heavy red and that I already have a good green card and that Scoot Swarm's insane, I think I should have to take the Scoot Swarm, as awkward as it feels. Yeah, maybe the start wasn't ideal. I think this is a pretty easy Stonework Pack Beast. I'm not sure what else I would take here. Am I going to miss it? I hope I don't miss it. Fuck, did I miss the Pack Beast? I think this is a very, very easy Pack Beast. It helps me splash green easily, and it's a rogue for the Infiltrator. Please tell me to take the Pack Beast here. Oh my god, I'm going to take the Aesthetic. I think my thought process is, like, I want to be base green now and splash red for some reason, but in reality I should be, like, base blue and then splash green and red. This is 100 billion% the Pack Beast here, and I think I must have just missed it in the moment, so my apologies for that. The correct pick is 100 billion% Pack Beast. It's a very solid shooter up in this deck that helps me splash. It's a rogue for the Infiltrator. It's a wizard for my wizard's energies, and it's 100% the right pick. And I take the Cleric. I'm dumb. I think I'm gonna take the Cleric. I think I just missed the Pack Beast. This is like very, very dumb. This is like the easiest Pack Beast I've ever seen, and I'm just missing it. So my apologies, but it happens sometimes. All right, I guess I take a Spellwind here. Spellwinds are great, and it kind of helps me splash. Yeah, like Spellwinds are pretty free like to splash for, right? They just replace the mountain and it helps splash, right? So that's a pretty free pick. Sure, I'll take another one. Why not? Killing X1s is nice. Not anything in these packs either. Making sure I don't flood is relevant. With this low amount of card draw or card advantage, I kind of do need to make sure I don't flood. Because if I don't draw the Vezahol or the Little Mage domination, I could have a lose late game. My only real card draw here is a single Supplies and a single Skyhook Wonder. The Channel also helps. The Vezahol also helps, and the domination does help, but it might not be enough on its own. So I think I like taking these Spellwinds to make sure I don't flood here. Plus, there's just not much else in the pack. Oh wow, I skipped ahead and I didn't miss a pick for once. Well. Okay, this is unfortunate. Yeah, maybe blue wasn't as open as I thought it was, because I'm just not getting good blue cards in these packs. It's pretty unfortunate. Yeah, I'd like to be base blue, but I'm not sure I can. So you're taking either Riptide or Skyclave Squid. Pretty happy with either pick, honestly. I think I'm going to take the Squid here, because I want to make sure I have 2 drops, and currently without the red cards, I wouldn't want to take it. I think if I made the correct pick and taken the Pack Beast over the Aesthetic, then I wouldn't need the 2 drops as much, and I could take the Riptide here. But Riptide isn't even that good either. Like, how many kicker cards do I have? I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's just not that many, and I've already got a lot of 3 drops as well that I'm happy to play. So I think it's just the Squid here, but both are defensible picks, and they'll both probably end up fine. Honestly, I wouldn't fault myself for taking either, or I wouldn't fault anyone else for taking either. I guess the Spare Supplies is like pretty playable. It's a nice 2-drop to have. You can curve out with it into like double 2-drop on turn 4. Very late roller option. Pretty happy with that. This isn't our deck for Songman Treachery, so even if I wanted another spell in, I would still want to take the Treachery because I just need to be red. I guess I take a Negate or a Lagak or something here. Fuck, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it didn't matter that much, but passing the Pack Beast there was pretty loose. Having another Pack Beast here would really help me splash. But honestly, maybe I just read the cycles wrong. I think. All right. So let's recap. So even though I didn't quite read the signals right, and blue wasn't that open pack 3, I got a really, really good pack 2, specifically because I did not pass any good blue cards in pack 1. I made sure not to pass any good blue cards, so even though blue wasn't open pack 3 and I didn't get a ton of good blue cards, pack 2 was good enough that my blue was functional, right? I got like a 3rd pick or a 4th pick Low Mage Domination. I wheeled a Skyclave Wonder. I got like a 5th pick into the Royal. I got a pretty late Bubble Snare pack 1, although that wasn't very relevant. And I just got enough good blue cards that it just works. So even though I might not have read the signals right, forcing really let me play blue. And if I hadn't, I think my deck would have been a train wreck. If I tried to like hedge too much, and if I'd taken like a Spoils Adventure over the Cunning Geyser Mage, my deck might have like train wrecked. You never know. Small decisions can definitely impact your final game plan. And even though I can't show you guys all of my drafts to show you exactly why I like forcing blue like this, hopefully this one will show you enough, and my explanation will show you enough as to why I like soft forcing blue, as I do. So yeah, well, I'll skip to the deck construction, and then we'll do the one game, like I said earlier. I'm not really sure I'm going to build here, honestly. I'd probably cut like a Riptide or something. I could probably cut the C4 Stalker, which is too many 3-drops, and then ship 16, I guess. Or I cut the Stalker, play like a Deliberate or a Spitfire Black, and then ship 16. We'll see what I do. Cut the Stalker out of the Gak, and then fire it off, I guess. 15 lands. I don't want 14 lands, do I? Nah, 15 lands with 4 spell lands seems good. Yeah, I'm fine to chip this. This seems reasonable. I could also like add another Deliberate in or something. I'm going to think about it some more, as I like to do. Oh, I end up doing 14. Why do I do 14 lands? Do I have 5? Oh, I do have 5 spell lands. Okay, no, 14 is good with 5 spell lands. Yeah, we want 19 mana sources total, especially because all my spell lands are so mediocre. The only really good one is the Wizard. Like, the rest of these 4 are pretty situational. Alright, so the game is at 55, 55, 50. Let's skip ahead to that. There we go. 55, 50. Alright, let's do it. Okay, got lines and spells. We're definitely keeping it. We got one of our bombs. Actually, we got multiple of our bombs, so we can't cast the Vezahol currently, but I'm sure we'll find a green source by the time we want to cast it. For those of you who I believe, oh, there's the green source, so lucky me. I think the mana in the next fine, honestly. I've got one back beast. I've got the spellbinds help me splash. I've got two or three forests for the green cards. And I got enough blue sources for either worlds, but the mana's not great. Okay, so I think I want to go spare supplies here, so then on turn 4 I can go Magmatic Channeler plus pop the supplies here, because if I play the Channeler here, then my turn 4 is kind of awkward unless I draw a 2-drop. So yeah, I end up going for the supplies here, and then I draw some lands. I could go for the Squid Swarm here, but I don't want to get it Shadow Strike, and he could easily have Shadow Strike. So I think I like Geyser Mage here. The next turn I can go Channeler plus pop, and then I can go Vezahol for 5. And in particular, I like Vezahol for 5 because you can copy one spell and you can kick it into the Royal and then bounce around Vezahol. It's much better than on 4 or 3 or whatever. Okay, that's totally fine. I don't really care. I can just ignore that, block with my 1/3, and if I kill it eventually I get a 3/3. It's kind of annoying, but not really a huge deal. So yeah, pretty easy turn here. Just play the Channeler, pop the supplies, and then we can go with Vezahol, and then on turn 6 we can go Scoot Swarm. I guess the issue here is that we can't go Scoot Swarm plus kick Bubble Snare on turn 6, so I might have to go like Bubble Snare, copy it, and then Scoot Swarm afterwards, but it's not a huge deal. Yeah, it's not very helpful, but it's fine. Like, lands are good draws when you have Scoot Swarm in hand. Alright, so we jam the Vezahol. Into draws, instant draw. So I think I want to go next turn. I want to go Bubble Snare, kick it, and the turn afterwards I want to go Scoot Swarm plus into the Royal kicked, and I can bounce my Vezahol and one of their creatures, and also make the Scoot Swarm tokens. So next turn is probably Bubble Snare plus tap land, and then the turn after that is Scoot Swarm plus kicked into the Royal, and I like that line quite a bit. Whew, okay, I'd like to retract my earlier statement. Fuck the Bubble Snare, we're kicking these Restricts first. Yeah, this game's just over. Copying Restricts is just too disgusting. Like, this is obviously a great draw, but it's a solid example of blue decks just beating up white-black decks, and why I think blue is a great color, especially when you like have this critical mass of good blue cards. Like, if these blue cards were just... If any of these blue cards were just, like, random creatures that I had to put in my deck, unfortunately, and didn't like, then it would just... This game would just be going a lot worse than it was. But I'm not sure. It's hard to explain in gameplay, or at least in a single game or a single draft, why I do exactly what I do, so you just have to take my word for it, I guess. So yeah, this game's pretty over. We can skip ahead a little bit. I don't know. You can, like, draw some cards, whatever the fuck he wants, make some attacks. I'll chump block with a Drake or whatever. Doesn't really fucking matter. He attacked with the Felidar. I took my 4. I'm gonna play the Scoot Swarm and then kick into the Royal, bouncing my own Vezahol and his creature, and the game should be pretty over. I guess I could do it. I should do it on his turn to play around the protection from blue spell or the protection from a color of your choice spell, but I was just too lazy for this, so I did main phase. Slight mistake, but this game, like, how do I lose this game, right? I just don't. Yeah, I should definitely do it on his turn because he also plays around Shadow Strike here. Because if I do a main phase and then he Shadow Strikes my Vezahol, it kind of sucks. I could also bounce that, but why? Yeah, I don't know why I'm not just snap bouncing the Felidar here. So yeah, I should do it on his turn. I do get punished for it, but it's not a huge deal, and this game's pretty over. Like, I've got 2 Restricts. I'm going off Scoot Swarm. Restricts will buy me like a bunch of time and value. I can't float out because of the Channeler, which is also going to get big soon. I've got a Vezahol. Like, I don't even know why I'm thinking that hard. Yeah, so he gives a protection. It's fine. We still get to bounce the Vezahol, make 2 Drakes. Like, what is he doing here? He's just not winning. I think about attacking here because I'm so far ahead, but I'm also so far ahead that, like, why am I attacking, right? I think when you have Scoot Swarm play, your game plan is not to attack them for damage. Your game plan is to just wait until you have, like, 20 Scoot Swarms or 30 Scoot Swarms and attack everyone. So we had no to attack. We passed turn. It's fine. He attacks. I'll chump block with a Drake. I don't really give a shit. He played Demon Disciple, which doesn't really do much. I'll chump block with a Drake here. I could try and gang block, but then the Tower X is good and then is big. And then if he has a combat Drake, really sucks. So I think I just chump or take 5 here. Lean towards chump here, but taking 5 is also fine. Like 11 life is pretty much a lot still. We start chopping next turn or double blocking next turn. I think I still like the chump there. It's possible it was a mistake. I think my thought process was that I want to play a big Vezahol here, and I want to play the big Vezahol, and I don't want to be forced to not be able to double block the Tabrax, because if I only have 2 Drakes and he like kills one, then he can just attack with the Tabrax. But attacking with the Tabrax is like less damage than attacking with the Felidar, so I'm not really sure why I did that. I get rid of the Sure-Footed Infiltrator because I don't think it does anything. This is pretty good. I can take Spare Supplies and then play Domination. Yeah, I get rid of the Infiltrator because I want to hit a land. I want to hit like multiple lands here because I want to be able to. I think I want to hit a land here because now on turn, and then the next turn when I have 9 land, I can go Vezahol for 5 plus kick Bubble Snare and copy it, which would be a great turn. But this also works out. I can play this plus Domination. And then next turn I can still do the double spell next turn, which is quite nice. I can chop block this turn to make sure I take too much damage. And yeah, whatever, this game's just over. I'm not sure why I'm thinking so hard or talking about my line so much. It's pretty obvious that this game's over. Whatever, he attacks, we chomp. I don't care. He played the Surgy Shelter so we didn't get to steal his guy. Again, who cares? I think this game's shit over. Play Celebrant, you play Shepherd Heroes. I don't really care. I'm going off with Good Swarm. I'm getting value with my Rich Drakes. You're running out of cards. I've got a huge Vezahol, which you clearly can't answer, and this game's just like over. We do not draw land. That's okay. We'll probably just play Big Vezahol here and then pass, and then we can start kicking Royal Eruption whatever next turn. We can also play the Royal Eruption kick and just make 2 Drakes and kill the Tabrax. I don't hate that either, but I don't really think it's better than Vezahol. I think I end up going for Spare Supplies, crack it to look for a land, and then kick the Royal Eruption. I'm not really sure why I do this. I think that, actually, no, the correct line is to play, okay, so the correct line is to use Channeler, discard a Mystic, and then look for a land, and then go Vezahol plus Bubble Snare kicked. But this is a fine line, too, honestly. It doesn't really matter what I do here. Yeah, that's definitely the correct line. I think my thought process was if I don't hit a land here, I can discard the Mystic to look for another land, but the Mystic isn't doing much, and I think I'm just supposed to, like, tempo out the most possible with Vezahol. And then after that, I can kick the Into the Royal here, or kick the Royal Eruption. See, I'm not really sure why I did this. Like, this is fine. It's still a winning line. Like, I don't see how he comes back from this. I just have a million Drakes and Scoot Swarms, and the game's just fucking over, but I think the other line was better with the Vezahol and the Bubble Snare. Yeah, so whatever. We make 2 more Drakes. We kill this guy. This game's obviously over, but doesn't make a bad line better just because the game's over. Okay, whatever. We don't roll sideboard. I think I bring in a little Gak because it's a good blocker in the matchup, and that's about it. Cut like the Deliberate. It's kind of awkward. I don't know. Yeah, this game isn't particularly relevant, but I'll still show it to you guys anyways. It's a fun game. This deck's pretty sweet, and it's a solid example of why Vezahol and Scoot Swarm are busted, I guess. And why I'm splashing them. I don't know. It's an example of how good the blue commons are, at least the good ones are. Okay, we've got lands and spells, we're keeping it, we got a curve, we can go Mystic into Spare Supplies, into like Pack Beast, into Legak or whatever. I don't know. I don't really know what to talk about here. It's pretty easy to keep. It's got lands and spells. I'm not mulliganing it. Draw Forest. I decided to save the Mystic because on turn 3 I can play it for free. Because on turn 3 I can play the Mystic for free and then also play a 2-drop. Because I don't have a 3-drop yet. In hindsight, I think I should have just jammed it as a land. I'm pretty sure I want to hit my land drops in this game, but it's fine either way. And there was a good draw, so yeah, we'll go Spare Supplies. I should guess, is the Pack Beast better here? I'm not sure the Pack Beast is better here. Like, yes, it forces him to play land, or I can trade off, but, like, he's obviously going to play a land no matter what here. So, what does this really accomplish? And then if I play the Spare Supplies, it gives me options, because then next turn I can choose to do something else, whereas now I'm locked into playing Spare Supplies, because I get to look at 1 less card here. So yeah, like, I could have got double Spare Supplies, because the Pack Beast wasn't relevant, so I actually got punished for this misplay, right? Because if I played the Spare Supplies there, I could have played another Spare Supplies instead of playing a Pack Beast, which actually would have been better, because I don't think the Pack Beast is very relevant. It's a 1/4 and a flyer. So yeah, I mean, it's fine still. We get to into the Royal next turn to get rid of the Fearless Legends counters, or we can bounce something else and then steal it the turn afterwards. And this game's just like pretty over, but doesn't make a bad play better. So yeah, like good blue cards are good. If these blue cards were worse, if we didn't get this domination late in pack 2, we'd be in a lot worse of a spot, obviously. And yeah, it just kind of works. Well, also he missed a land drop, so yeah. I mean, this guy just got pretty unfortunate in our game. I'm not really sure why this is the game I chose to show you, but I mean, to be honest, I think all the games I had with this deck weren't amazing. So yeah, we'll just pass here with Into the Royal up, I believe, and then go Domination. I guess the other option is probably just Spare Supplies. I also kind of like just jamming Spare Supplies here and cracking it. Just to get the maximum amount of draws for Domination. Because if I Domination the Fledgling, I think it's pretty over, so yeah, I'm actually okay with playing Spare Supplies here and just drawing the most cards possible. It's one more card than kicking the Royal, and if I kick the Royal and whiff, it just kind of suck. Also, they don't have anything to bounce for they did the Royal, like I'm bouncing a 3-drop or a 2-drop or whatever. Save it for more value in the late game. Yeah, we found a land, game's over. Not much else to talk about. It's fine. He plays this. We show him 2 mediocre cards. He takes the Mystic. In all honesty, I probably should show him the Mystic and the Legak. I don't really care about either of these, and I want to make sure I hit my land drops, but there's no way he doesn't take the spell here. I mean, I knew he'd take the spell there, but I still should have shown him the Legak because I want to make sure I keep my land drops here. We'll trade. We'll steal the Ledge Lane. We're not taking too much damage. We're ahead on lands. We're ahead on card advantage, and this game's just like very, very over. Yeah, whatever he plays Blood Price, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I can place Infiltrator and draw a card. I can push the Infiltrator to choose through soon. I can play Scoot Swarm. Probably play Scoot Swarm here to make sure I can start copying it and going off. Yeah, let's play Scoot Swarm here. Yeah, sure. I'll go Scoot Swarm plus Tapland, I guess. Yeah, Scoot Swarm plus Tapland, crack the Supplies, attack for 3 with the Fledgling. I guess I should probably don't attack here because it's better as a blocker, and I'm winning the late game, obviously, because I'm the blue-red deck and I've got a bunch of bombs in play. And you can see it's... Alright, well, I guess that's about it. I don't think there's anything else I want to say. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If you've got feedback, I'm always happy to hear it. Don't forget to check out my Twitch and my YouTube. Links in the description. Comment, like, subscribe, all the normal shill things. And that's about it. Have a good one, everyone.